Chapter 303. Lu Cheng's crystal-cold light dashed across the ground and instantly hit his opponent. Wherever it passed, it left behind traces of frost, as if it had dragged the autumn into early winter. Lin Ke felt as if he had stepped on a landmine. His left leg was enveloped by a snow-white flame that condensed into a layer of crystal-clear ice. He couldn't help but shiver, and his grasping motion slowed down. Now is the time. Lu Cheng's body swayed and circled to the side of his brother-in-law. His qi, blood, and force were still rushing outwards, propping up his muscles and tendons, making him taller. Bam! His right hand was like a steel whip, whipping downwards with a surge of vibration force. The friction in the air produced a sharp, ear-piercing sound. At this distance, he wasn't worried that Lin Ke would dodge. The scene just now made Li Mao, Sun Jian, and the others stunned. They felt as if they were watching a battle between physical invulnerability experts. Since when could Qing release his supernatural ability of frost? When he fought in the provincial youth tournament at the beginning of August, the last two matches were so tough, but they didn't see him use this move. In just a month, his supernatural ability had made another breakthrough and completed a new generation. No wonder Coach Shi asked reporter Shu and the others to leave. This was indeed a secret that could give Shanbei a surprise. In the arena, Lin Ke seemed to be still under the influence of ice burning. He subconsciously pulled back the left side of his body in an attempt to dodge. Lu Cheng's single whip hit him directly in the ribs. Crack! His body trembled violently. His bones, muscles, skin, tendons collapsed and contracted along with his qi, blood, and force. It was as if Lu Cheng had hit empty space. It was extremely uncomfortable, and the vibration from the explosion seemed to have disappeared without a trace. Lin Ke twisted his waist and back, spurting out his big Dan. His muscles bulged one by one, rubbing against the airflow at high speed, creating a sound that converged into a heart-shaking roar. Yin-yang twist, dragon roar. Amidst the roar, Lin Ke used part of his borrowed strength to swing his arms and punch his opponent's lower abdomen within a narrow range. When he was imitating the explosion of the Dan stage, he could still use the meteor force. However, once he completed the real force concentration, he wouldn't be able to do it at the moment. The distance between them was so close that they could hear each other's breathing. Lu Cheng knew that if he had been passive once, he would continue to be passive. In a narrow space, courage was the most important thing. Therefore, he clenched his teeth and made 2 consecutive bursts with the will of the brave. His right arm swelled and lifted, and his fist met the attack head-on. Bang! The air billowed and stirred up a strong wind in the arena. Lu Cheng shook his torso and swung his right arm back, trying to use the force to launch the mega avalanche. However, he felt that everything was empty and powerless. But Lin Ke's body didn't stop trembling. He swayed and bounced like a puppet, condensing the external force and his own strength. With the power of Mount Tai and the North Sea, he turned his body sideways, inflated his martial arts suit, and turned into a shooting star, quickly and violently crashing into his opponent. This was the combination of the Dan stage version of yin-yang twist and force concentration. Double explosion. Woo! With a rip in the wind, Lin Ke turned into an iron mountain and was about to stick to Lu Cheng. The distance between them was less than a step. Lu Cheng's center of gravity swayed, and he leaned to the side a little. He lowered his body and avoided the sharp edge of the leaning attack. His right leg kicked out, aiming for the opponent's weak point in the lower body. He wanted to take advantage of the situation to make Lin Ke lose his center of gravity and fall down himself. At this moment, Lin Ke's body suddenly stopped, just like at the beginning of the match. He came to a sudden stop. The sound of friction was ear-piercing, and the clear traces were frightening. He gathered his strength and stopped right in front of Lu Cheng's right leg. Immediately after, Lin Ke took a step forward and skillfully bypassed the attack. His left arm, which was dragging behind, hammered out from the bottom. From a standstill to a rapid speed, it was so aggressive that it could shatter gold and break stone. He relied on the mysteries of yin-yang twist and meteor burst to forcefully continue the terror of force concentration and leveraging force until this moment. Facing this, Lu Qing made a decision in an instant. He returned his qi and blood to his dantian. Expressionlessly, he reached down with both hands and opened up the dark blue veins and small muscles. He grabbed Lin Kei's fist with one hand and pushed it down diagonally with the other. Bam! His right hand was hit and flung back. His 5 fingers couldn't stop trembling. Fortunately, there was a push from the side and a hollow palm to divert the force, so he didn't end up with broken bones. Even so, he didn't dare to take it head-on. Following the momentum of the fling, he took 2 steps back. Lin Kei had succeeded in one move. He stomped his feet hard and rushed to Lu Cheng's front faster than he retreated. At this moment, Lu Cheng suddenly sighed and once again used force concentration to return his qi and blood to his dantian, stabilizing his body's center of gravity. His martial arts suit expanded without wind, outlining his muscles. He bounced his left shoulder and shook out his arm. His fist exploded the air and shot towards Lin Kei's chest and abdomen like lightning. Lin Kei blocked the attack with both hands and tried to visualize and adjust his body again, using the yin-yang twist to divert the force. However, without using the Dan stage explosion, there was a substantial gap between him and Lu Cheng's attack. He was only able to divert a little of the force and was knocked back. Lu Cheng took a step forward and caught up with him. Thunder Roar Zen combined with continuous explosion and hit him again. Bam! Lin Kei's body trembled violently and his eyes were dizzy. He was frozen in place. Without waiting for his master to announce the result, Lu Cheng withdrew his hand and sighed inwardly. If it weren't for the fact that his brother-in-law's breakthrough to the limit of his body hadn't reached the level of qualitative change and was still at the level of a normal professional 8th pin in the Dan stage, he wouldn't be able to perform more continuous explosion. A normal professional 8th pin in the Dan stage could perform double explosion at most. Only Zhou Zhenquan, who practiced martial arts that nourished his body and improved his endurance, could perform triple explosion. Although Qiu Lin and Meng Jiefeng, whom Lu Cheng had met before, were both professional 8th pin, they were more experienced and their physical state was close to that of a professional 7th pin. Even so, Lu Cheng still had a deep impression of Lin Kei's first wave of combo moves. They showed him a very different fighting style from the past. If it wasn't for the breakthrough in his power of frost and the initial mastery of ice burning, which interrupted his brother-in-law's combo, he would most likely have lost. Is this the strength of a Dan stage expert with inheritance? His brother-in-law has such a great performance in actual combat after only breaking through 3 months ago. What about Peng Liyun, who was in the Dan stage 2 years ago and inherited the unique skills of the Thunder sect, who was about to get the certificate of 6th pin? This wasn't something that could be understood just by watching videos. If he didn't try it himself, he wouldn't be able to understand it deeply. Thinking of this, Lu Cheng, who had been in the mood since he won the youth tournament, completely disappeared. He had underestimated Peng Liyun before. He collected his thoughts and calmed down. He looked at Lin Kei, who was standing there in a daze and panting. He smiled sincerely and said, "You have to find a way to make up for your weakness in physical strength." He knew that his brother-in-law was arrogant and autistic, so he might as well give him a suggestion directly. Lin Kei calmed down and didn't say anything. He turned around and walked down the stone steps. When he was about to go down, he stopped and nodded slightly. Lu Cheng exhaled and turned his head to look at Yan Zhika. He saw that the girl's expression was complicated, full of emotions and sighs. Lin Kei was her idol since childhood. In late September, the military training ended. Yan Shaoling took He and Mu Jinyan to the square in a hurry. Today was the day that all the clubs were recruiting new members. They didn't hesitate. They weren't attracted by the cosplay or the advertisement. They went straight to the booth of the martial arts club and saw many students there, almost lining up. "Oh, you came so early, but you still have to wait." Yan Shaoling rolled her fists under her eyes and pretended to cry. She was already familiar with her roommates. It's because someone got up late. Hezi spread her hands helplessly. She had changed her style today. She wore a cartoon t-shirt, shorts, sneakers, and carried a backpack. Only the round glasses on her face were still the same. Well, I'm too tired after the military training. Yan Xiaoling stood in line and saw Kai Zongming, who was hosting the booth. Just as she was thinking whether to go through the back door shamelessly, Mu Jinyan patted her shoulder and pointed in another direction. Hey, your idol is here. Ah. Idol? Lu Cheng. Yan Xiaoling quickly turned her head and looked over. She saw the figure that she used to see through the screen appear beside the stall to help. He was more elegant in person. He was alive, he was alive. Yan Xiaoling cheered and jumped behind Hezi, turning into a quail in an instant. What should I do? What should I do? Lu Cheng is there. Didn't you say you would rush to Lu Cheng and ask for his autograph and photo? Hezi turned back and asked. I'm nervous, I can't even say a word. Yan Xiaoling lowered her head and looked at her toes, peeking at Lu Cheng from time to time. Box, help me ask for it, help me ask for it. Hezi stared at her. If you didn't recognize me as your father, I wouldn't help you. How many fathers have I recognized? Yan Xiaoling thought of this question inexplicably. Hezi took the paper notebook and pen from Mu Jinyan and ran to Lu Cheng. She smiled and said, Hello, can I have your autograph? Lu Cheng had already seen Yan Xiaoling, but in order not to expose his habit of reading the fan forum, he pretended not to recognize her. He nodded and smiled. Okay. He took the notebook and quickly signed his name. Hezi thought for a while and asked again, Can you write for the quail? Sure. Lu Cheng agreed readily to thank Yan Xiaoling for her contribution to the forum. He quickly wrote, Here, and then froze in place. What's wrong? Hezi asked, puzzled. No, nothing. Let me check my phone. Lu Cheng gave a hollow laugh. Damn, how do I write for the quail? Chapter 304. Lu Cheng pretended to be calm, pretending to reply to a message. He typed the word, quail, on his mobile phone and memorized it in his mind. He wrote it on the tip of his pen, looking very accomplished. Done. He handed the notebook back to Hezi, sweating in his heart. To be honest, he could write the word, quail, when he was in his senior year of high school. But when he went to college, he got used to the keyboard and often forgot to write. That was the most knowledgeable period of his life. Hezi looked at Lu Cheng suspiciously and thanked him with a smile. She went back to the end of the line, tore off the signature page and gave it to Yan Xiaoling. Weak chicken, she said. Yan Xiaoling was overjoyed and said exaggeratedly, Box, I admire you. I worship you. Her voice was crisp and delicate, like a primary school student talking. Hezi and Mu Jinyan looked at each other and replied with a blank face, I don't need weak chicken's admiration. Yan Xiaoling was used to being criticized, so she didn't mind. She peeked at Lu Cheng and said worriedly, Why do I feel that his face is a little pale? Is he sick? With his current physique, it's hard for him to get sick unless he's injured or affected by the unique skills of the plague sect. Mu Jinyan answered calmly. She was a hardcore fan of Lin Ke and treated Lu Cheng like a passerby. Maybe something went wrong during training or sparring. Hezi's imagination ran wild as she came up with 100,000 scenarios in her mind. With Lu Cheng's current hearing, he could hear the conversation clearly at this distance. He couldn't help but shake his head with a wry smile. If I hadn't awakened the power of Blaze for the second time yesterday, I wouldn't have been sent here to help Little Ming recruit new members because of the backlash and the double prohibition of training by both my master and Coach Yen. Lu Cheng's improvement of his power of frost had slightly changed his root pulp, which further improved his physical quality. He had reached the standard for the second awakening of his power of Blaze a few days earlier than Geezer sure had expected at the beginning of October. After this awakening, Lu Cheng's strength, speed, and agility would officially catch up with an ordinary professional 7th pin fighter of the Dan stage. As time passed, the line moved. Yan Xiaoling and the other two came to the booth and faced Kai Zhongming and Li Xiaowen. "Oh, it's you guys." Xiaoming smiled amiably and casually handed over 3 membership forms. Yan Xiaoling was not nervous or shy about him. She giggled and said, "Does joining the martial arts club give me an autograph?" She didn't mention Lu Qing directly because her idol was nearby. "It's a complimentary gift. Come, I'll sign one for you. Keep it well, it'll be worth a lot of money in the future." Kai Zhongming joked. The atmosphere suddenly became relaxed. Yan Xiaoling picked up the pen and began to fill in the form. In the field of martial arts rank, she felt inferior for 30 seconds and drew a slash. "Every time I had a holiday, I would spend most of my time in bed. How would I have the time and energy to exercise? Not to mention practicing martial arts." After she was done, she looked around curiously to see how her roommates were doing. Box, martial arts level, amateur 2nd pin. Air. Jinyan, martial arts level, amateur 3rd pin. Yan Xiaoling opened her mouth little by little and turned it into an O shape. When did they become so powerful? They were all of amateur 3rd pin. I'm the only weakling. At this moment, a joke flashed through her mind. "Thank you roommates for not killing me." Kai Zhongming took back the form and glanced at it. Then he smiled brightly. "Welcome to the martial arts club. When the holiday comes back, we'll have the welcoming party. I'll call you when the time is fixed." "Wow, President, you weren't so enthusiastic before." Yan Xiaoling was surprised and joked. Kai Zhongming put on a serious face and said seriously, "That's nonsense. Isn't that obvious? I've already confirmed your identities through the form. How can I not treat you well?" "What identity?" Yan Xiaoling looked at He Zi and Mu Jinyan blankly and found that they were also confused. Is my identity of living for more than 10 years actually fake? Am I the biological daughter of Taba's father? Kai Zhongming laughed, the identity of the successor of the communist cause. Not only Yan Xiaoling and He Zi burst into laughter at the same time, but also other students joined in. This president is so interesting. When the people at the booth were a little less, Kai Zhongming slipped to Lu Cheng and said, "Cheng, the quality of this newcomer is good." "Do you mean the martial arts level or the appearance?" Lu Cheng looked at Talker suspiciously. "Damn, how can you doubt my chastity? Besides, aren't we the peak of the appearance? There's your girl, Lin K, and me. We're the super platinum generation." Kai Zhongming struck a pose and said, "It's only been an hour and I've already found 4 newcomers of amateur 3rd pin. Well, their quality is quite high." Lu Cheng's eyes lit up and he praised with joy. The martial arts club in the university was different from the professional teams. Every year, there would be people graduating, so the quality of the newcomers was very important to maintain the competitiveness. Although Lu Cheng and the others could say, "After I die, I don't care about the flood." Once they graduated, they wouldn't have to worry about the aftermath. However, after a year of fighting side by side and the encouragement of, "Come again next time," they had developed feelings for the martial arts club and the school. They consciously took up the responsibility of passing on their knowledge. Generally speaking, they're actually stronger than our batch. Ha, don't look at me like that. When we just started recruiting, you were still a nobody with no rank, strength, and knowledge. Kai Zhongming said sarcastically. That's right. In our batch, other than Lin K, who is a professional 9th pin fighter, the strongest one in our batch is only of amateur 5th pin. Lu Qing refused to admit defeat. My brother-in-law can beat 10 people by himself. Kai Zhongming didn't answer directly. He thought for a while and said, I think the quality of the next batch of newcomers may be stronger. Think about it, when this batch of newcomers applied, our martial arts club only participated in the division selection and made it to the knockout round. Lin K, who is about to reach professional 8th pin in Dan's stage, has the appeal. you're just a potential genius with abnormal physical strength. You can only attract so many people. Wait until next year, there will definitely be strong newcomers who will consider our school. Well, good results in the national finals and the provision of the internal training method. Just these 2 points alone will definitely make geniuses choose us. Lu Qing stood up and moved his body, looking forward to the future. Until now, he still didn't think he was a genius, although others kept saying so. After the long vacation, mid-October. The alarm clock rang. Yan Shaoling woke up from her sleep and struggled to get out of bed. She sat in a daze for a while and finally understood why she woke up so early. This morning was the welcoming day of the martial arts club. She quickly opened Hezi's mosquito net next door and shouted, "Box, box, wake up, wake up." When the mosquito net was opened, there was a black cat sitting on the side railing. It had green eyes and a look of disdain. Ah! Yan Shaoling was stunned for a moment and said in shock, "I knew there was a cat." "Box, you are a cat. There are really monsters in the world." Just as she finished speaking, she suddenly felt that something was wrong. She hurriedly turned her head to look at the door, only to see Hezi standing there after washing up. She looked back at the black cat and felt that she had misunderstood something. Idiot! Hezi's mouth twitched. "Ha, I'm kidding." Yan Shaoling saw the cat jump off the bed and run out of the dormitory. "Box, is this your cat?" "No, we can't have pets in the dormitory. I think it's owned by a teacher in the teacher's dormitory, but it often comes to see me." Hezi's expression softened and her eyes sparkled when she mentioned the cat. "How did you know it?" Yan Shaoling climbed down from the bed and asked curiously. Hezi recalled and smiled, "It's fate. I was the first one to come to the dormitory, and I didn't know why it ran in. It was trapped behind the cupboard over there and kept meowing. So I dug and dug and dug. I even wanted to tear the bed apart. And then? You moved the bed and saved it?" Yan Shaoling asked excitedly. Hezi was stunned for a few seconds and smiled embarrassedly. "No, it jumped out by itself before I moved it. I spent so much effort and wasted so much time sleeping." "Why did I do that?" Yan Shaoling frowned and nodded solemnly. She walked to Hezi and patted her shoulder to comfort her. "I think we can be good friends." After washing up, Yan Shaoling, Hezi, and Mu Jinyan rushed to the martial arts club. They had never seen Qin Yuni, another student in the dormitory. According to the counselor, she seemed to be sick and had taken a leave of absence. She wouldn't come to see them until she was cured. Due to the existence of 2 dance stage fighters and the outstanding performance of the previous semester, the martial arts club had not only recruited many freshmen, but also a group of sophomores and juniors. The stadium was filled with people, and the situation was even better than last year. "It's so crowded." Yan Shaoling looked around excitedly. At this moment, her eyes lit up when she saw Yan Zhika in a white martial arts suit. "Did you see her? That senior is so pretty, even prettier than when I saw her on TV." Yan Shaoling pointed out to Hezi and Mu Jinyan in surprise. "Yes." Hezi glanced at her and nodded. "I want to take a picture of her." Yan Shaoling whispered excitedly. Just then, she saw the fresh and beautiful Yan Zhika turn her eyes and slowly walk towards her. "The closer you are, the prettier you are," Yan Shaoling said with a smile, but suddenly stopped because she found that Yan Zhika was walking toward her. "Looking for me? What for?" In her surprise and anxiety, she saw Yan Zhika stop in front of her, so she said nervously, "Hello, senior sister. What's the matter?" Yan Zhika smiled, "Hello, little Changye." "Ah. Little Changye. Little Changye." Yan Shaoling was stunned at first, then her mouth opened wide, as if she had turned into a confused cat. She suddenly felt that she didn't know the beautiful senior in front of her. Chapter 305. You know me. Yan Shaoling came back to herself and stuttered. Even Box and Jean don't know that I have the nickname Little Changya on the internet. My QQ username is Uncle Hua. At this moment, two thoughts flashed through her mind. My identity that I've been hiding for years is finally exposed. I'll confess everything. Seeing Yan Xiaoling's reaction, Yan Zhika pursed her lips and held back her laughter. After a while, she said, I often lurk in the BBS and have seen many of your posts and photos. I think you're a very cute and interesting girl, so I've been looking for you. She added in her heart, and you're very interesting. Yan Xiaoling was embarrassed by the compliment. I'm not as good as you say. Wait, she must know that I recognize my father and elders, that I'm always self-deprecating, and that I have the nickname of ESH*T moderator! I don't want to live anymore. I'll go back to my dormitory and stay there for half a year. Wait, she's a member of the martial arts club. She often lurks in the Luqing forum. She's a pretty girl. Yan Xiaoling was rarely smart. She blurted out, you are. Her voice was so loud that it attracted the attention of the onlookers who didn't know the truth. This woke her up. She lowered her voice and said, are you on the Lu Cheng's girlfriend account? Otherwise, how could she get the first-hand news of the competition? And she claimed to be a student of Songqing University, a cute girl. Yes, Yan Zhika answered with a smile. To be honest, it took her a few days to decide to come and greet Yan Zhika openly. Her boyfriend's female fans were easy to deal with on the internet, but once they appeared in front of her, it would make her feel complicated. Although she often acted rational and mature, she was still a girl who hadn't even passed her 19th birthday. It was inevitable that she would worry and think too much. She even habitually made several plans to deal with different situations. However, after making the plans, she felt funny and decided to make it simple and sunny. She wanted to see if little Changya was as funny as those on the internet. Oh. Yan Xiaoling nodded excitedly. Who would have thought that the martial arts club would have a club member, and a cute girl at that? She was so excited that she couldn't control her mouth and asked curiously, Senior sister, are you really Lu Cheng's girlfriend? Otherwise, how could he have chosen such a username? At first, He Zi and Mu Jinyan were confused by the conversation between the two and did not know how to interrupt. However, when they heard this question, they immediately focused their eyes and focused their minds. Their bodies and minds were clamoring for gossip. Yes. Yan Zhika pursed her lips and smiled calmly. Based on his and Chang's habit of shamelessly showing off their affection, as long as little Changya joined the martial arts club and insisted on attending one class every week, it wouldn't take long for her to discover this matter. I think you two are a pair. Yan Xiaoling waved her right hand and said happily. I'm so excited. I'm chatting with Lu Cheng's girlfriend. They didn't believe in my intuition. I saw that you guessed so. Yan Zhika showed her dimples and smiled sweetly. She took the opportunity to lead the topic to the interesting things in the forum. She was a girl who paid attention to the details of interpersonal relationships. She was careful not to mention the dark history of eternal nightfall, so as not to embarrass her in front of her roommates. However, she underestimated Yan Xiaoling. How could a person who often made fun of herself control her mouth? When it came to familiar things, she immediately revealed her true colors and revealed a lot of embarrassing things. He Zi and Mu Jinyan were not familiar with Yan Zhika and did not know about Lu Cheng's fan forum. Normally, it would be difficult for them to join the conversation. However, when Yan Xiaoling began to make fun of herself, they couldn't help but ask for details. They chatted happily. When Yan Xiaoling calmed down and realized that something was wrong, she found that her two roommates were looking at her very strangely, as if they were saying, Yan Xiaoling, I didn't expect you to be like this. I don't want to live anymore. Yan Xiaoling reached out to cover her face. Yan Zhika covered her mouth and laughed softly. She leaned forward and backward slightly and looked at the time. Little Changya, will you join the special training? Special training? The details of the special training flashed in Yan Xiaoling's mind. Her face turned a little pale. I don't think so. My arms and legs are too small, for hours of training every day. I'd rather just kill myself. I'm such a lazy person that I can only eat one meal a day in order not to get out of bed. How can I join the special training? After saying that, she felt very regretful and lost. If she didn't join the special training, she wouldn't be able to see Lu Cheng's training posture often and get first-hand news. No. Yan Zhike opened her mouth silently, pausing after each word, and then said with a smile, how about you come to the martial arts club's office to help out when you're free? You and senior sister Wen are in charge of organizing the on-site cheering. Yan Xiaoling was pleasantly surprised. I don't need the special training, and I can come to the martial arts club often. This is a great thing. Yes. She agreed excitedly. Remember to find Senior Xiaowen later. She's that one. Yan Zhike pointed at Li Xiaowen who was not far away and asked Yan Xiaoling to add her QQ, then I'll go first. Bye, Senior Xiaowen. You're so nice. Yan Xiaoling waved excitedly. She and Lu Cheng are a perfect match. Thinking of this, Yan Xiaoling took out her phone and posted a post in the forum with an arrogant emoji. Ha, big gossip, big gossip. But I won't tell you. I don't want to hear it. Get lost. Brahman who was waiting for her live broadcast answered immediately. Yan Xiaoling didn't feel that she was being scolded. She said with a squirming emoji, Brahman, I really want to tell you, but Senior Xiaowen is so nice. I have to keep it a secret for her. Ask. I'm such a soft-hearted person. Senior Xiaowen. Is she Lu Cheng's girlfriend? Okamoto's fan had sharp eyes. I didn't say anything. Yan Xiaoling pouted and typed on the keyboard. Really? Is she that pretty member of the martial arts club? Brahman guessed from the most probable since the target range was so small. How did you get it so quickly? You don't feel any sense of achievement. Yan Xiaoling sent a crying emoji. At this time, Mu Jinyan who was beside her asked in confusion, Xiaoling, do you know how to organize a live cheering event? She agreed so quickly. Of course. Yan Xiaoling stuck out her chest. I'm a professional. She could feel that He and Mu Jinyan did not believe her at all. She added weakly, brotherly, you're right. Fan. Okay, a professional fan. Yan Zhike walked back to Lu Cheng with light steps. She was thinking about Nightfall's teasing just now with a smile. Why did you go to see Eternal Nightfall? Lu Cheng asked nervously, although he didn't know why he was nervous. Can't I? Yan Zhike tilted her head with a faint smile. Of course. No problem. Lu Cheng expressed his opinion first and then said in confusion, I'm just curious. I thought you would stay away, just like me. He didn't forget to praise himself. Yan Zhike chuckled and glanced at Lu Cheng's face. In the beginning, my emotions were quite complicated. Later, I thought it through and felt that it was better to be open-minded. Yes. Little Changye didn't let me down. He is really a very funny and honest child. You're talking as if you're very old. Cool, your 19th birthday is still 2 months away. Lu Cheng was relieved and teased his girlfriend. Yan Zhike bit her lower lip and sighed with emotion. Cheng, sometimes I'm confused too. Am I too rational, too polite, and too focused on the details of interpersonal relationships? I want to do my best in everything. This time, when I went back to celebrate my grandfather's birthday, I met many relatives. They would make jokes that I didn't like, and they would also introduce young talents to me, saying that they were preparing me for my university graduation. At that time, I really wanted to leave or tell them that I already had a boyfriend, but I felt that it was stupid and impolite, so I could only smile hypocritically and keep quiet. Sigh, I often want to be self-willed and live a self-centered life. During the holiday a few days ago, the martial arts club only had 3 days off because the special training had just started. What's more, it was Old Master Ji's 70th birthday, so Yenjika specially went to attend the party. Lu Cheng's short-distance trip plan was ruined before he could make it. Lu Cheng listened to his girlfriend's rare complaint and comforted her in a humorous way. "You're self-willed, aren't you? Your family doesn't allow you to date, but you still date me. How do you feel? How does it feel to be free?" Yenjika glared at him flirtatiously and bit her lip. She turned her eyes to the side and hummed twice. She deliberately made her voice so weak that it was hard to hear. "Not bad." At this time, Kai Zongming walked up to the arena to host today's welcome ceremony as the club president. Lu Cheng almost burst into laughter when he saw his appearance. "Ha, is this still Talker?" He used to laugh at club president Chen's eyebrows. "His hair today is called, Insects Don't Fall. Once it falls, it will definitely slide down." Yenjika was also amused. When she was about to join in and make fun of little Ming, she suddenly felt a vibration in her pocket. She took out her phone in confusion and found that Yen Shaoling had sent her a message with a stammering emoji. "Senior sister, let me ask you a question. What kind of person is Lu Cheng?" "Everyone is very curious." Yenjika pursed her lips and smiled. She recalled the past and considered her words carefully. Gradually, her eyes became unusually soft. She lowered her head and typed on the keyboard with both hands. She couldn't help but smile. "Just like how you used to feel. A very warm, considerate, and attentive boy. As for the fact that he is secretly a clown, I won't tell anyone." Time flew by in the midst of hard training. A week before the professional ranking event, the University Martial Arts Club District Lottery ceremony officially started. It was 2 weeks earlier than last year. Everyone in the martial arts club gathered in the office, waiting for the live broadcast to begin. Lu Cheng and Lin Kei didn't get the invitation because of their poor performance in the last martial arts club. The school sent a teacher as a representative. Chapter 306. In the office of the martial arts club, not only were the old members like Lu Cheng and Lin Kei, but also the new members like He Zi, Mu Jinyan, and Wang Dali, who had just undergone special training for 2 weeks. Xu Rui was directing the camera to record their daily life. The weather in late October had turned cold. She didn't wear her business attire when she came here every few days. Instead, she wore a thin and lazy sweater and a knee-length skirt. She looked like a student, and Li Mao, Wang Dali, and the others stole glances at her from time to time. "Relax. Don't mind the camera. Just treat us as if we don't exist. Just talk as you usually do." Xu Rui looked around with her bright eyes, looking for something to talk about. No one took her words seriously. Who would want to let their bad side be recorded and broadcasted for thousands of people to enjoy? He Zi and the other new members who had never been interviewed quietly moved their seats and found human bodies to block the camera. Only Geezer sure didn't care. He happily drank his wine and chewed his weird-flavored peanuts. As for Lin Kei, he stood there with his hands in his pockets. His face was as cold as usual, and his lips were tightly pursed. On the computer screen, the guests were still giving their speeches, which made people feel sleepy. Lu Cheng leaned back in his chair and took out his phone. He quickly typed on the keyboard and sent a message to Yenjika, who was beside him. "It's so uncomfortable with cameras around." Yenjika had tidied herself up before going out because she knew in advance that Xu Rui would be there. She put something on her face, wore a cotton skirt, and covered her legs with silk stockings. Under the light, her face was like a painting, bright and youthful. Lu Cheng couldn't help but praise her as a fairy. After seeing her boyfriend's action, she took out her phone and read the message. She replied with an emoji of covering its mouth and laughing. "Don't you think it's weird? You have to chat face to face with your phone." "Can't help it." "Who asked the reporters to watch us covetously?" Lu Cheng replied with a pained expression. "Can't you just hold it in and not chat with me for a while?" Yenjika said proudly, but she felt sweet in her heart. Lu Qing replied without hesitation, no. Yenjika's eyebrows curved as she sent an emoji of touching the head. Alright, I'll dote on you. Hee, every time you call yourself sister, you are so cute. Lu Qing said with a smirk. Really? Is this the only time you're cute? Yenjika asked. Sitting obediently and waiting for compliments, not really. You're even cuter when you call me big pervert, replied Lu Qing. Pfft. Yenjika bit her pink lips and trembled slightly when she saw the message. She tried very hard to hold back her laughter and the urge to stare at her boyfriend, pinch him, and kick him. She gnashed her teeth and typed on the keyboard energetically. I'm going to call the police. Lu Qing unconsciously curled his lips and almost laughed out loud. It took him a lot of effort to control his facial expression and continue to flirt with Ku. In the eyes of Shu Rui and the others, they were just playing with their phones out of boredom. Towards the end of the conversation, Lu Qing thought of something and sent a question mark expression. Ku, isn't it said that after reaching the inhuman level, one's root pulp will gradually change and the offspring may be born with supernatural abilities? Why didn't your cousin awaken anything? During this time, he had been thinking about how to help his brother-in-law improve his physical fitness. As he thought about it, this question came to him. Ku's grandfather was the Shushan study elder Ji Jianzhang, who had reached the first pin physical invulnerability several decades ago. Her grandmother, Do Ning, was also a physical invulnerability expert and an elder of Shushan study. The offspring of the two should have a higher chance of awakening supernatural abilities. Also, the change in the root pulp of the inhuman stage is very small and unstable. The probability of the offspring inheriting the supernatural ability is very low. Only after they reach the physical invulnerability stage will the probability become realistic. My uncle and aunt were born when my grandfather was in the low Dan stage and the inhuman stage. They didn't inherit the supernatural ability. Or rather, it didn't show up. Only my mother, the youngest daughter, was born after they reached the physical invulnerability stage and then awakened the supernatural ability. Ah, Empress Dowager has supernatural abilities? Lu Qing was shocked. Yenjika sent a cheers emoji. Congratulations, you got it right. However, Empress Dowager is careless in her martial arts and supernatural ability training. She doesn't put enough effort into it. Her overall combat strength is only weaker than 8th pin. She added, my aunt was born when my grandparents were still at the inhuman level. Perhaps she inherited some altered root pulp. My brother might have awakened some supernatural ability at any time. Sigh, logically speaking, the probability of me awakening a supernatural ability should not be small. But I'm congenitally deficient and haven't shown anything. Lu Qing sent a hug emoji and said, don't be sad. Technology is developing, so is martial arts. Maybe one day your natural deficiency will be cured. You're stealing my words. Yenjika scolded. I'm repeating your teachings, Coach Yen. Lu Qing took the opportunity to compliment her. Yenjika put her hands on her hips and shook her head proudly. Then she sent a cover mouth emoji and said, actually, I'm not sad about this anymore. I'm used to it. I'm a little glad. Glad for what? Lu Qing asked blankly. Hee, I'll tell you next time. Yenjika lowered her eyes and replied softly. If it weren't for my natural deficiency, my life would have been different. I wouldn't have stayed in Shushan to study in high school, and I wouldn't have come to study in Songcheng. If that were the case, we wouldn't have known each other, hugged, or kissed. We'd be like passers-by. It's the luckiest thing in my life to be able to meet you in the prime of my life. I'll tell you when we're old and still holding hands. At this time, the guests finished their speeches and the song and dance performance. The mighty one with physical invulnerability for the drawing ceremony walked up the stage. She was the witch Qian Hui. She was 27 years old and had reached physical invulnerability in the first half of the year. She was the main force of the second-level Haiyuan club. They were very likely to enter the top ranks. The reason why the organizing committee invited this new mighty one as a guest was that she had a close relationship with the university martial arts competition. Before a large number of geniuses such as Peng Liyun and Ren Li entered the martial arts circle, Qian Hui was the representative figure of this circle. She was also one of the few cases of people who could walk step by step to the peak of martial arts after studying in the university. She had a considerable symbolic significance and inspired generations of junior brothers and sisters. Qian Hui had a buzz cut and looked like a feminine boy. But her eyes were as deep as the sea and had a strange charm. The host didn't dare to look at her in the eyes. He turned his head stiffly to the side and announced the next procedure. According to the popular saying in Jianghu, the witch had her own hypnotism. While Qian Hui was giving a short speech, the broadcast switched to the stands and swept past the top two teams of the last competition, Shanbei University Martial Arts Club and Sanjiang College Martial Arts Club. Peng Liyun was leaning against the back of the chair. His body was relaxed and his eyes were empty. People who knew him would know that this was his habit and style. People who didn't know him would think that he was arrogant and didn't care about his opponents or the draw. Su Wanyan's eye bags were as heavy as usual. He straightened his back subconsciously and paid attention to the draw that was about to begin. Beside him, Feng Zhirong had many freckles on his face. He was a delicate and pretty boy, but his expression was obviously arrogant. In the seats of Sanjiang College, Chu Hui was wearing a tuxedo. He looked calm, but his hands had changed their posture. They were clasped in front of his stomach and his fingers were clasped tightly. Qian Hui didn't talk for long before she got to the point. On behalf of the organizing committee, she announced the adjustment of the competition format of this university martial arts competition. The first part of the competition remained the same. There were still 4 groups and 4 seeds. The rest of the teams would draw lots for 2 or 3 rounds of single elimination and enter the corresponding groups. The team that drew the left position would have the home advantage. The group competition was still a single cycle, and the top 2 would emerge. After that, there would be cross matches. The first and second would fight, and the top 8 would be eliminated to determine the top 4. At this stage, the elimination system was supposed to continue, and the winners would go to the capital. However, in order to ensure that the strong teams wouldn't be disqualified because of early clashes, the organizing committee made some adjustments. The 4 teams would fight a single cycle, and the top 2 would enter the national finals. In this way, there would be one more round of competition. The division competition of this martial arts competition would be held a week earlier, the week after the professional ranking event. Good news. Kai Zongming didn't hide his smile. This meant that even if they met Shanbei in advance, Songqing University Martial Arts Club would still have a great chance to appear. It seems that we have to fight Shanbei at least once. Li Mao sighed. The top 4 would be in a single cycle. Lu Cheng and Yan Zhike looked at each other and smiled. Then he turned to his brother-in-law and made a fist gesture. Peng Liyun arrived as scheduled. Lin Ke took his hand out of his trouser pocket and made a fist as a response. Flames were burning deep in his eyes. Gizershur snorted and poured the last sip of wine into his throat. Group A, Shanbei University. Group B, Haiyuan College. Group C, Shannon University. Group D, Sanjiang College. Qian Hui drew the seeded teams first. The top 4 teams were the same as last year, which showed their dominance. The drawing continued. Teams were drawn one by one, each with sadness and joy. Group C, 5th round of elimination. Home team, Songqing University Martial Arts Club. The guest announced with bright eyes. Lu Cheng and Lin Ke were already famous. Group match against Shannon. Yan Zhike whispered to herself, her dimples showing. Shannon and Haiyuan were slightly weaker than Sanjiang, and Sanjiang was much stronger than Shanbei. Li Mao and the others didn't hide their joy. They gave each other a fist bump, forgetting that there were cameras recording everything. Lu Cheng coughed twice, cleared his throat, and reminded him, Shannon is not weak either. They should have 3 professional 9th pin fighters this year. And their leading player, Mu Yu, is a supernatural power user, known as the Bane. He's not easy to deal with. Understood. Several members of the martial arts club answered in high spirits. With you and Lin K, we don't need to worry about the Bane. At Shannon University, the members of the martial arts club gathered to watch the drawing of lots. When Songqing University entered Group C, they held their breaths, quieted down, and felt depressed. It's okay. Even if we lose, we can still advance as the second in the group. After a long time, Miyu comforted his teammates. He was born with an old face. Although he was a young man in his early 20s, he looked like he was in his 40s or 50s. He was often ridiculed as Old Man Mu. His supernatural ability was misfortune. Any opponent who competed with him would inexplicably have bad luck, and when he won the competition, there would be a backlash around him. Among the people he knew, there would be a random person who would be unlucky for 3 days, but the degree was relatively mild. Because of this, the Martial Arts Club of Shannon University had no coach or instructor. Maybe we can win? Captain, I used to believe in science, but now I believe in you. Another leading member of the Martial Arts Club, Lin Xiaoji, tried to cheer everyone up. With a high ponytail, she looked fresh and clean. Around her neck was a necklace with a Taoist amulet. On her left wrist was a consecrated Buddhist bead, and in her right hand was a small cross. Her clothes were embroidered with Arabic characters. She was wearing all kinds of anti-misfortune items from various religions. Let's fight. We'll know after we fight. Mu Yu clenched his teeth and clenched his fists. The 5th round of the knockout match, the away team. The guest drew Songqing University's first opponent. Guanan School. Guanan School. In the office of the Martial Arts Club of Songqing University, Li Mao, Sun Jian, Kai Zhongming and the others were stunned at first, then overjoyed. Last year, the Martial Arts Club couldn't advance in the group because they lost to them. Everyone had been holding a grudge. Now, they finally had a chance to take revenge. Every dog has its day. Lin K closed his eyes and put his right hand back into his trouser pocket, clenching it into a fist. Lu Cheng's spirits were lifted. He looked at Yan Zhika happily and smiled at the camera that had turned around. This is a good opponent. Start from where you failed. Chapter 307. In the jubilant office, Guo Qing knocked on the table and said with a smile, Senior Sister Lin, tell us about the current situation of the Martial Arts Club of Guanan School. Lin Hua had a close friend in Guanan School who would tell her about the situation from time to time. At this moment, she was thinking and organizing her words. Guyu is in his senior year, but he is still a professional 9th pin. It is said that Fei Sanli is close to the level of professional 9th pin, but he hasn't participated in the ranking event yet, so no one knows whether he will succeed. Ji Lan got the certificate of amateur 1st pin in June, and the new members are the best at amateur 2nd pin. Hearing about the current situation of Guanan School, Li Mao, Sun Jian and the others were stunned, as if they were dreaming. A year had passed. Ji Lan had advanced 1 pin, Fei Sanli had advanced half a step, and Guyu had become stronger, but he still couldn't reach the threshold of the Dan stage. This was a normal change in the martial arts club of a university. But in Li Mu's club, 1 professional 9th pin, 1 amateur 1st pin, and several amateur 2nd pin and amateur 3rd pin fighters had become 2 Dan stage fighters, 1 professional 9th pin fighter, and several amateur 1st pin and amateur 2nd pin fighters. In the Martial Arts Club of Guanan School. Seeing the result of the draw, Ji Lan blurted out, full of fear and frustration, what a coincidence. They had drawn last year's opponent, Songqing University. F***ck. Guyu bulged his muscles and shook his clothes. He grabbed the cup on the table and smashed it on the ground. In the sound of the cup breaking, several new members stepped back in fear, not daring to face their club president's anger. After Guyu strode away, Fei Sanli touched his bald head and smiled bitterly. That's it for this year. I'd better participate in the ranking event of professional ninth pin next week. I can't waste time. Let's go. Let's go. He waved his hand and walked out of the office, leaving the new members silent and Ji-lan clenching her teeth. Ji-lan, recite the strength of Songqing University's substitutes. I'm sure they won't let both Lu Cheng and Lin Ke fight against us. Coach Guzhen touched his grizzled hair and sighed. Ji-lan paused for a moment, then took out her phone and opened her notepad. She read weekly, Li Mao, amateur first pin, Sun Jian, amateur first pin, Yan Zhika, amateur second pin but did not attend the amateur ranking event in September, Lin Hua, amateur second pin, Kai Zongming, amateur second pin, He Zi, amateur second pin, Wang Dali, amateur second pin, Jin Lu, amateur second pin, Guo Qing, amateur third pin, Mu Jinyan, amateur third pin. After she finished reciting, she silently added in her heart, as for the main force, Lu Cheng was a professional 8th pin fighter of professional 8th pin, and Lin Ke was above the normal 8th pin Dan stage. This was the configuration of the top 4 in the final circle. How were they supposed to fight? Friendship first, competition second? The autumn air was refreshing and the night breeze was chilly. Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika strolled along the lakeside hand in hand. They were in a good mood because of the result of the lottery just now. While recalling the past events of last year, they looked forward to the future and outlined their dreams. A gentle breeze brushed past his face, and the water was still. After the discussion, Lu Cheng was about to take a step forward when he suddenly felt a girl tugging at his sleeve. It was a weak tug. What's wrong? He tilted his head and asked in amusement. It was rare to see such a girl like this. Yan Zhika was wearing Lu Cheng's coat. Her glossy black hair hung down to her vest. Her face was fair and delicate. Her eyelashes fluttered a few times, and she said timidly, Cheng, I need to discuss something with you. What is it? Lu Cheng was confused. I don't want to participate in the ranking event of professional ninth pin next week. Yan Zhika's eyes drifted. I didn't have much hope in the first place. I just wanted to gain some practical experience for the division contest. But now the martial arts competition will be held a week earlier. I'm afraid I won't be able to recover in time. I can't put the cart before the horse. According to her usual temperament and style of doing things, she should talk about this matter with Cheng rationally and frankly. But somehow, when the words came to her mouth, she inexplicably felt guilty and guilty. Slam the table. Why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel guilty? When Lu Cheng heard about the adjustment of the competition schedule, he had a hunch in this regard. Therefore, he was not surprised. He smiled and said, of course. The ranking event of professional ninth pin lasts for 2 weeks and 4 days. There are 3 high-level fights a day. It's too intense. Besides, you don't have abnormal stamina like me. You won't be able to recover in a week. Although he said so, he still felt a little disappointed and regretful. He had been back in Songqing for 2 months and had no private time with Ko. If he couldn't participate in the ranking event of professional ninth pin, he couldn't go to the hotel openly. Cough. Thinking of this, Lu Cheng added another sentence to show that he didn't mind. He chuckled and said, anyway, there will be plenty of chances in the future. Yan Zhika turned her head and spat at him. She swung her hand and hit him, saying, what are you talking about? I said there will be plenty of chances in the ranking event of professional ninth pin. Lu Cheng laughed. Before he finished his words, Yan Zhika suddenly stood on tiptoe, closed her eyes, and kissed him on the corner of his mouth. She deliberately said in a delicate voice, darling, you're so nice, her cheeks flushed. After the kiss, she turned around and ran away, swinging her hands and leaving a clear and melodious laughter. Lu Cheng was stunned for 2 or 3 seconds. He touched the corner of his mouth subconsciously, and then a smile appeared on his face. He strode to catch up with her. Only at times like this, when he had experienced a lot and become more mature, could he see the 19-year-old boy in his heart. Yenjika went back to the dormitory with light steps and opened the door. She didn't want to be teased by Li Lientong, so she preemptively said, "Dirty Tong, you're still memorizing books at this late hour?" Li Lientong screamed, "I don't want to either. I'm in my second year of university. There are more and more professional courses, and they're getting more and more difficult. Damn, that long list of translated Latin words is killing me." Yenjika felt the same. She pursed her lips and said, "So are we. It's not enough to just listen to the classes. We used to go out once a week, but now we have to wait for 2 or 3 weeks before we have time." Of course, this refers to the top 5%. If you just want to graduate and get a diploma, you just need to listen to the classes and study hard before the exam. You can do whatever you want in your daily life. Sigh. Recently, my dates with Cheng have been more in the self-study room and the library. You only go out once every 2 or 3 weeks? Can your Cheng bear it? Li Lientong turned her head in surprise and started driving out of habit. What do you mean by bear it? We see each other every day. Yenjika pretended not to understand. Li Lientong clicked her tongue and said, "You've been dating for almost 9 months. Don't tell me there's no progress. I don't believe your Cheng is a monk. As for men, once they have a breakthrough, they'll want more. When they're young and full of vigor, they'll definitely be eager and passionate." Before she could finish her words, Yenjika picked up the decorative landline and said grumpily, "What's wrong? Hello, is this Yaoling? There's a female hooligan here." Their conversation made sure Xiangyang and Zhong Yenru want to laugh. The latter had the best relationship with Yenjika, so she quickly changed the topic. "Dirty Tong, I feel that you're wrong." "What's wrong with monks?" "I remember it was written in a book called Water Margin. The first word is monk, the second word is monk, the third word is ghost music official, and the fourth word is hungry ghost in sex." Li Lientong nodded immediately, "Yes, yes, yes. There are so many stories about monks." Yenjika was relieved that the topic had changed. While listening to their nonsense, she took out her phone and replied to Lu Cheng's message. At the same time, she checked the forum to see what people thought about the result of the draw. In Lu Cheng's fan forum, Eternal Nightfall, Yan Xiaoling put her post at the top with the title, "Martial Arts Club's Draw Reaction Live Broadcast." She wrote in the main post, "I'm crying. I'm too scared to go because I'm not a member of the special training team. No, cross it out. I can't enter the office because I'm not a member of the special training team. But I have a spy. Next, let's welcome the reporter from the front, Baozi, no, the cat reporter from the front, many cats, to report." On the second post, many cats posted. "When we drew Guanan School, Lu Cheng looked at Senior Yen for the 28th time tonight, and Senior Yen looked back at him for the 28th time." What? Feeling wronged, Yenjika opened her mouth and looked up. She recalled what had happened that night and counted carefully. Liar. There were only 19 times. She looked down and continued to read the report. Lin K closed his eyes, put his hands in his pockets, expressionless as usual. Jin Jin kept peeking at him. President Kai Zhongming chatted with Senior Li Mao happily, which made Li Mao want to cover his ears several times. Reporter Shu was like a shark that smelled blood, looking from one to another, from another to this. Senior Sister Guo Qing gave Senior Sister Lin Hua a bear hug. Coach Shi drank all the wine, turned the small pot upside down, and kept shaking it, but didn't shake out a single drop, so he stayed out of the situation. Looking at the description of these bystanders, Yenjika smiled faintly but still felt warm in her heart. This is our martial arts club, our. What about your cat reporter? Unparalleled Dragon King asked curiously. Many cats replied, meow, meow, meow. In the busy and fulfilling days, the university martial arts competition was getting closer and closer. Finally, that Saturday came. Mu Jinyan and Yan Xiaoling, who didn't make it into the competition list, came to the stadium together, only to see that it was crowded with many students. I'm so excited. It's our home ground. Yan Xiaoling jumped around the stands and found a seat. Mu Jinyan was wearing a black-edged white Songqing University martial arts suit with a backpack. When she sat down, she took out a banner with the name Lin Ke written on it, a trumpet, an inflatable hammer, and other cheering tools. Ah! Jin, you prepared these? Yan Xiaoling was dumbfounded. Shouldn't I? Mu Jinyan looked at her in confusion. You didn't prepare. Aren't you a professional fan? I'm too excited. Oh, I have to help senior sister Wen. Yan Xiaoling was ashamed and ran away from her seat. Fan, Dragon King, Okamoto, Bull Demon King, Naive, Chi. I've embarrassed the forum. In the locker room of the home team, Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika sat side by side at the end of the bench, with their backs against the wall. They closed their eyes to rest, waiting for their turn. He vaguely heard the cheering and shouting outside, and couldn't help but recall the situation of the home ground last time. That time, they lost to Wenxing School and Zhou Jinquan, but they weren't disappointed. Instead, they shouted the slogan, "Next time," in unison. While thinking, he found that the shouting outside was getting more and more orderly and louder. What are they shouting? Lu Qing curiously tilted his ear and concentrated his hearing. That voice suddenly became clear, and the sound of a tsunami took shape. We're here. We're here. Next time. We're here. Lu Qing suddenly understood what his classmates meant. This was a continuation of the previous cheering. This was an answer to the past. His eyes were warm, and he clenched his fists. Yes, we're here. Sorry to keep you waiting. Chapter 308. The shouts penetrated the door of the locker room, waking up the team members who were resting with their eyes closed. Everyone was moved and excited, as if there was some kind of passion boiling in their hearts. They looked at each other excitedly. Geyser coughed and said, "It's almost time. I'll arrange the order of appearance. Lu Qing will be the last one to go up today." Me? Lu Qing blurted out in surprise. Shouldn't it be my brother-in-law to go up and end last year's regret? I'm ready to wave a towel on the bench. At this time, Lin Ke also made a move. He stepped forward and asked, "Coach, I want to go up." Geyser laughed and said, "Are you still holding a grudge over last year's game? Why should you care about this kind of opponent? It's good that you want to win, but don't lower yourself too much. It's settled. You'll be the last one next week." He didn't give Lin Ke a chance to complain and directly made the decision. Lin Ke's rare request was blocked. He tightened his lips and became more silent. Geyser looked around, took a sip of wine, and said with a smile, "You kids can see for yourselves that little Yen is the one with the best performance during the team training. Those two brats are not human at all. She'll be the first one. No one will object, right?" Yan Zhika was rarely praised by Coach Shi in such a serious way. She couldn't hide her joy. Her eyes sparkled. She pursed her lips and turned her head, looking to the side and secretly reaching out to pinch Lu Cheng's palm. So happy. Well, Coach Shi's seriousness was only limited to the part where he praised her. Since mastering the internal training method, Yan Zhika had improved rapidly. Her strength was obvious to all. The team members present all shook their heads to show their approval. For this kind of thing, even if they wanted to go against their conscience, they had to consider the reality. Offending Yan Zhika was equivalent to offending Lu Cheng. Of course, they didn't know that offending Yan Zhika was equivalent to offending Lin Quebec. "You're the first one to go up today. Play well and aim to improve yourself. There will be people behind you," Geyser reminded. "Yes, Coach Shi." Yan Zhika closed her legs and straightened her back. She deliberately acted cute in a military posture. The excitement in her heart was obvious on her face. Geyser smiled and shook his head, as if he was thinking of his daughter at this age. He sighed slightly and turned to Li Mao. "Is there any problem with you being the second one?" Li Mao's nervousness had mostly been cured after numerous actual battles. With Lu Qing behind him, he felt even less burdened. He replied loudly, "I'm sorry, but I'm sorry." After deciding on the order of the main force, Gizershi casually pointed at the members and said, Sun Jian, Lin Hua, Kai Zongming. Since he couldn't meditate, he had fallen behind Yan Zhike and Li Mao. Next year, he might be overtaken by Kai Zongming. Guo Qing was even more depressed. She felt that her position in the martial arts club was getting more and more awkward. Not only did she not become the main force, but she also failed to be chosen as the substitute. What was more sad was that if it wasn't for the consideration of the old members, she wouldn't even be on the main list. As for He Zi and Wang Dali, the two newcomers were full of curiosity about everything in the locker room. They used their eyes as cameras to record everything they saw. They didn't have any negative feelings. Phew. Kai Zongming exhaled and whispered, "My preparation was in vain." "What did you prepare?" Lu Qing turned his head curiously and asked. "I prepared a draft of the dialogue time." Kai Zongming sighed. "What a pity. My fame has to be delayed." Lu Qing squinted at him. "You think too much." While they were teasing each other, Gizershi asked Jiang Fuxing to write the list of the main force and the substitute and submit it to the competition supervisor. After waiting for less than a minute, he clapped his hands and said, "Okay, let's go." When they were walking to the door, Lu Qing moved closer to Gizershi and asked in a low voice, "Master, there's no difference between me and Lin Ke in this match. Why do you have to stop him?" This was very puzzling, and Coach Yan was also very confused. Gizershi snorted. "Haven't you heard of the saying that the most rigid thing is easy to break?" "You're polishing Lin Ke?" Lu Qing asked in realization. Gizershi smiled. "His temper needs to be polished, or he'll break himself in the future." "Ha, the key thing will cause too big of a blow, so I have to start with this kind of small thing." "Got it." Lu Qing stepped back and returned to Yan Zhike's side, relaying his master's words. Yan Zhike listened with mixed feelings. After a few seconds of silence, she sighed. "My brother is too tensed up." Creak. The door to the changing room opened, and the warm sound from outside rushed in without any obstruction. It poured into everyone's ears and burned their blood. Songqing University. Songqing University. At this time, the students saw Lu Qing and the others coming out. Their cheers became more and more ferocious, as if they had just finished an outbreak. "We're coming." Lu Qing closed his eyes and tilted his head to look at Yan Zhike. From her eyes, he read the same thoughts as his. "National University Martial Arts Competitions, we're coming." Today's level of competition was not broadcasted on TV, internet, or even prepared and recorded. Only Shu Rui led the team to record the material for the program. She stood at the edge of the stands, feeling the pure madness and wanton in the sound waves. She couldn't help but sigh with emotion. "It's so good to be young. I used to spend my youth like this too. But now, I have to run around for daily necessities, worry about falling in love, be confused about the future, and have a headache about interpersonal relationships. I'm so busy that I'm physically and mentally exhausted. How can I have the same state of mind as before?" However, venting out all the negative emotions that had accumulated in such an atmosphere seemed to be a good choice. Shu Rui's blood began to boil as she listened. She wanted to close her eyes, forget about reality, and scream at the top of her lungs. Not far from her side, Li Liantong and the others were already waving their hands and creating a human flesh forest. In a place further away from her, Zhao Chang and the others were no longer reserved and polite. They were shouting until their faces were completely red. In the locker room of the away team. Listening to the noise outside and recalling the previous experience, Guyu spontaneously said in his heart, "That was then, and this is now." He looked at his father and said, "As usual, I'll be the vanguard. You decide who goes first. Even if you lose, you have to lose beautifully." It was obvious that Songqing University would let Lu Cheng or Lin Ke be the last one to train the substitutes so that they wouldn't have to worry about fighting them at the beginning. Based on this, according to normal logic, I should let Ji Lan, a sophomore, be the vanguard to fight more matches, accumulate more experience, and contribute to the renewal of the martial arts club. However, I'm a senior and want to graduate with dignity. I want to draw a perfect conclusion to the last match of the martial arts club with victory. Losing 2 matches in a row to Lu Cheng or Lin Ke is not a failure. In the ranking event 2 weeks ago, Fei Sanli was defeated by a strong group and failed to qualify. He was in low spirits and did not bother to argue with Gu Yu's arrangement. He glanced at Ji Lan and agreed in a muffled voice. Ji Lan didn't care. She just wanted to broaden her knowledge and gain some experience in fighting with a mighty of Dan stage. They all stood up and walked out of the locker room without the momentum of last year. After the audience shouted the names of the leading players and substitutes, the referees stepped into the ring and made a gesture to both sides. The first match between Songqing University Martial Arts Club and Guanan School. Yan Zhika vs. Gu Yu. Hearing that it was this beautiful student who left a deep impression on everyone, the audience burst into a climax again. Shouts and trumpets intertwined. Gu Yu. Lu Cheng didn't show his worry. He looked at Yan Zhika and said with a smile, "Here comes the challenge." Okay. Yan Zhika pursed her lips and nodded with a solemn expression. She stood up and high-fived Lu Cheng and Lin Ke before walking towards the stands with her head held high. She had tied up her long hair and looked radiant with bright eyes and white teeth. Gu Yu didn't expect the girl to be the vanguard and was stunned. When he came to himself, Yan Zhika was standing in front of him. The referee raised his right hand and said, "Talk time starts now." According to her profile, she is only in the 2nd year of amateur ranking event, but she didn't attend the amateur ranking event in September. Since she can beat Sun Jian who is in the 1st year of amateur ranking event, she must be at least in the 1st year of amateur ranking event, or even stronger. She looks gentle and delicate, so she must be a well-educated girl. She is definitely not good at quarreling or talking, and is easily affected by words. Gu Yu thought of this and deliberately grinned. Although there are many female seniors with physical invulnerability, I still have to say that the ring belongs to men. Women shouldn't get involved. A special case is always a special case. Yan Zhika was infuriated. She wanted to retort, but soon she calmed down. She knew it was impossible for him to have a good debate with her. In terms of cursing, swearing, and provocation, she might not even win against a primary school student. So annoying. He is unreasonable. She took a deep breath and closed her eyes to calm down. Ignoring Gu Yu's following sarcasm, she repeated Lu Cheng's words in her mind. Martial arts competition is not about words. 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 When Gu Yu found that the beautiful girl in front of him was so calm and unaffected, he shut up in time. The 3 minutes were almost over. Yan Zhika opened her eyes. Her body was in its best condition. The referee looked at the electronic clock, raised his right hand and swung it down heavily. Begin. The new National University Martial Arts competition started. Chapter 309. As a fighter with a tough fighting style, Gu Yu was confident that he could defeat such a gentle and pretty girl. Therefore, he didn't back down and launched an attack to warn her. His legs suddenly exerted force and his body leaped out like an arrow. In a flash, he put his left hand forward and turned his shoulder to punch with his right arm. Bang! The wind roared, complementing the roar of the king of beasts in Gu Yu's mind. Black Tiger Steel's heart. Facing such a powerful attack, the seemingly weak and slender Yan Zhika remained calm. Instead of dodging, she pressed her feet against the ground and channeled her strength to her spine through her ankles, knees, and hips. Then she moved her arms. With a cracking sound, she raised her left arm to block and punched out with her right fist from her chest and abdomen. Strength against strength, strength against strength. The girl's response was out of Guyu's expectation, but he was confident and didn't make any changes. Bang! A muffled sound echoed in the air. Yenjika's body trembled, and her shoulders swung backward as if she couldn't bear the opponent's tremendous strength. Although her steps were light and agile, orderly, her face turned red and her center of gravity swayed unsteadily. Humph! You want to compete with me in strength? When Guyu saw the opportunity, he stretched his tall body and transformed into the god of giant spirits. He strode forward and punched fiercely from the top right to the bottom left with his right fist like a giant hammer. He showed no mercy to the fairer sex. This caused the audience to exclaim in unison. Their hearts were in their mouths as they held their breaths. How could a girl of amateur second pin fight against a professional ninth pin fighter? At this moment, Yenjika suddenly stopped without any warning. Her body kept trembling, and her temples bulged strangely. She braced her legs and lowered her waist into a sitting position, like a wooden figure swinging back and forth. Her right hand clenched into a fist, as if she was moving or blocking the attack. Bang! The sound of collision broke out. Cracks like a spider web appeared at the feet of the two figures. Guyu was surprised to find that Yenjika's punch was not much weaker than his own. Together with her blocking skills, they were evenly matched. How could it be? While he was still in shock, he saw the girl lean back slightly and draw out her left foot with borrowed strength. Bang! Her straight and slender leg tightened and turned into a scalp-numbing whip. It went straight for Guyu's knee, making his pupils shrink to the size of needles. Endless brutal blizzard. This also caused the surrounding students' exclamations to come to an abrupt halt. Each and every one of them had an astonished expression. They never thought that the gentle and weak girl would actually be able to fight evenly with the tall and strong muscular man, and even take the initiative to counterattack. In the beginning, Yenjika chose to resist Guyu's attack with her feet because she wanted to test her own strength. Of course, she only dared to do so because she was quite confident. Lu Cheng was sure that her physical quality was close to professional ninth pin. After a punch, she finally determined her own condition. Her strength was not as good as Guyu's, but it was not so bad that she could not make up for it. She could steadily block his attack by taking a step back. The reason why she took a few steps back was that she had used the yin-yang twist, which she had improved by leaps and bounds in the past few months. She borrowed her opponent's strength to fill the gap between them and found the opportunity to use the 24 blizzard strikes. And once the blizzard arrived, the more they fought, the stronger and fiercer it became. Guyu didn't have time to think. Facing the whipping kick with explosive airflow, he could only tighten his thighs and twist his hips to resist. Bang! Yenjika spread her legs. In her mind, she thought of the continuous blizzard. Her toes touched the ground quickly, her spine straightened, her body leaned forward, and her right arm pulled back like a bow shooting a tiger. Bang! Her fist swung out violently like a drill bit. Guyu was deeply impressed by Lin Kei's 24 blizzard strikes. He knew that he couldn't let his opponent accumulate momentum and become crazier. He had to interrupt her or he would be in great danger. His arm muscles bulged and he swung his waist and back, lashing out at her fist like a whip. He wanted to withdraw immediately to prevent his opponent from borrowing too much strength. Bang! Just as the single whip hit his right fist, Guyu quickly retracted his arm and tried to change his position to disrupt the girl's brutal blizzard. But Yenjika's body trembled again. Her right arm mechanically swung backward like a lever and raised the other side to attack. Bang! She shook her left arm and turned it into a big spear. With a crisp sound, she pointed it at Guyu's throat. The whistling wind and falling blizzard didn't stop at all. The more they fought, the stronger they became, leaving no chance for her opponent to dodge. The combination of yin-yang twist and 24 blizzard strikes. How could this work? How could she borrow strength to attack? Guyu's scalp tingled and he was inexplicably frightened. He didn't dare to look down on the gentle and delicate girl in front of him anymore. He braced himself and swung his left fist with explosive strength. He couldn't go on like this. After 2 or 3 moves, she would be able to suppress him in terms of strength and momentum. All resistance would be eliminated in the vast blizzard. He had to use his trump card to fight back. Last year, he was defeated by Lin Quebec. The memory of the 24 blizzard strikes was still fresh in his mind. He had been thinking hard about how to solve the problem if he accidentally fell into a disadvantageous position. Apart from using temporary explosive moves or the deafening sound skill to stop the fight, there was another way, which was to catch the opponent's arm and break their connection. Guyu didn't know the deafening sound skill, the secret skill, the blast punch, or the bear form. He was good at catching, which he had used to defeat Lin Quebec. Therefore, he worked hard in this aspect and felt that he wouldn't be at a loss if he was in the same predicament again. Now was the time. With a dignified expression, he hit the air with his left elbow and blocked Yan Jika's attack from the side with his fist. Then, with a bang, he used the abrupt force and clasped the girl's forearm with 5 fingers. So what if you're at the initial level of meditation? I can also conceal spirit and chi, and my listening skill is not much worse than yours. Oh no! Concerned shouts came from both sides of the stands. Lu Qing crossed his arms and stood in front of the seats without anyone noticing. Guyu was overjoyed. He was about to shake all the joints in his body to tear his opponent apart when Yan Jika suddenly took a deep breath. Her temples bulged and the skin on her left arm tightened. Her skin tightened, expanded, and bounced. Guyu's 5 fingers couldn't exert force and slipped to the side temporarily. The girl seized the opportunity and shook her forearm to break free from his grasp and grabbed his wrist instead. Yan Jika had been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. As a girl who liked to make plans, how could she not be prepared for encountering Guyu? She knew that with her current physical condition, it was almost impossible for her to finish a round of 24 blizzard strikes with the help of the yin-yang twist. Just like her cousin Lin K last year, he could only finish a round of 24 blizzard strikes. If she were to fight Guyu head-on like this, she might not be able to hold on in the end. Therefore, she used the yin-yang twist mixed with the 24 blizzard strikes to scare Guyu. She took advantage of the fact that he didn't know her well and was eager to get out of the predicament and induced him to use his best catching skill. The Ji family had its own way of catching. Lin K had used it to deal with Lu Qing before. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, victory and defeat were reversed. The spectators were dumbfounded as they shouted in silence. Guyu's 5 fingers clasped together. Guyu was frightened. His arms suddenly went soft and then tightened and shook. Yan Jika heard his movements. She pressed and pushed with her left hand as if she was doing Tai Chi, perfectly neutralizing his struggle. Then, she lifted her waist and kicked out her right leg, forcing Guyu to raise his leg to meet it. Bam! Pulling back his legs, Yan Jika took advantage of the force to open his joints. His body shook, and the 5 fingers of his left hand pulled fiercely, like a tiger biting its prey. Ah! Guyu screamed in pain. His arm muscles were twisted and his bones were dislocated. While he was screaming, Yan Jika pulled back her left arm and turned her body sideways. She visualized the scene of snow collapsing and crashed into him fiercely. The mighty mega avalanche. Bam! Her fatal hit was blocked by the referee. Guyu's facial muscles twitched and he grimaced in pain. First round, Yan Jika wins. The referee raised his right hand. I lost. I actually lost. I actually lost to a woman who is obviously not as good as me. Guyu forgot about his pain and stood there in a daze. Is this the end of my 4-year martial arts career in university? Yan Jika was overjoyed. She turned around and waved her right fist at the home team seat. I won. I won. Cheng, I defeated a strong professional 9th pin fighter. Lu Qing smiled and clenched his fist. He echoed her words with some inexplicable feelings in his heart. Since the beginning of their relationship, he had gradually taken over Ku's training and learning from each other. It could be said that he had guided her growth step by step. Now, seeing that she had the strength to enter the 9th pin and had defeated a strong enemy that he had never dared to imagine, he was both satisfied and amazed. Ku had unknowingly become stronger. What the hell are you thinking about? Kai Zongming stood beside Lu Cheng and asked curiously. How do I put it? Lu Cheng gave an analogy. Seeing Ku defeat Gu Yu is like seeing my daughter grow up day by day. Do you understand this feeling? Kai Zongming thought for a while and squinted at him. He spat out 2 words, pervert. F*ck, a pervert is a pervert. Lu Cheng was almost amused by him. At this time, Jilan walked quickly to the ring under the signal of the referee and the chorus of Yenjika from the audience. Seeing this, Lu Cheng took a step back and came to Lin Kei's side. Just wait and see. I may not have a chance to fight. Maybe Ku and Senior Li Mao will finish them all. There is no need to worry about such a strong opponent. He comforted his brother-in-law. He didn't say any great principles but only facts. In his mind, his brother-in-law was a capricious guy who said, I understand all the principles you say, but I just don't listen. Lin Kei nodded imperceptibly, and his expression was less tense. I thought you'd open your mouth and say a few words. Lu Cheng was delighted at his little fairy's victory and was in a good mood. Lin Kei glanced at him and said calmly, I don't want to do crosstalk. What? Lu Cheng was confused. Kai Zongming beside him said thoughtfully, I feel that he is mocking both of us. Chapter 310. Lu Cheng was enlightened. He looked at Kai Zongming and said, It's not a feeling, it's a fact. Damn it, I was ridiculed by my brother-in-law. I thought he was a cold and serious person. Kai Zongming chuckled. With his back to Lin Kei, he raised his eyebrows and said, Cheng, go. Beat him up. He knew that at this distance, no matter how low his voice was, it couldn't escape Lin Kei's ears. He just wanted to be funny and liven up the atmosphere. You're making it sound like a dog biting someone. Lu Cheng looked at him with disdain. Why don't you do it yourself? Do it myself? Then should I beat him up? Or should I ask for a beating? Kai Zongming spread his hands. Ha, I thought of that joke. A hunter hunting a bear. Lu Cheng pursed his lips and held back his laughter. He didn't continue. Kai Zongming was well informed about such jokes. He didn't need to finish listening to them to understand. He also trembled and almost burst out laughing. Bitch, in his heart. At this time, Jilan finished the stone steps and stepped into the arena. She stood opposite Yenjika. Seeing her, Yenjika suddenly had an idea. Should she leave the arena now and give the opportunity to senior brother Li Mao to help him get rid of his worries and complete his reincarnation? In December last year, Li Mao was too nervous and lost to Jilan. That was why Songqing University Martial Arts Club's hope of advancing to the next round was lost. While thinking, she rejected the idea. She felt that it was too ritualistic. It was not only disrespectful to Jilan, but also put more pressure on senior brother Li Mao. Maybe it would be self-defeating. Just let nature take its course. Yenjika sighed silently. She seized the last bit of time to continue recovering her body. Although the battle just now didn't last long, the high-intensity battle with the senior professional 9th pin still took a lot of energy out of her. Especially during the process of painstakingly creating an opportunity, she was highly strung. Once it was over, it was inevitable that she would feel tired. When she exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, the referee raised his right hand and announced, "Begin the second round." When Jilan first collected information about Songqing University Martial Arts Club, she found that Yenjika didn't participate in the amateur ranking event in September. She had suspected that Yenjika might have surpassed the level of amateur first pin and would reach the level of professional 9th pin in late October. However, it seemed that Yenjika didn't sign up, which made Ji-lan uncertain about her speculation. She thought that she was overthinking. Unexpectedly, Yenjika really had the strength of professional ninth pin and even defeated the team leader Gu Yu in a head-on battle. The members of Songqing University Martial Arts Club were all monsters. Ji-lan changed her mind and chose the guerrilla fight that she was best at. She nimbly moved to Yenjika's side, slid close to her, and gave her a low kick, which made a crisp sound. Yenjika swung her right shoulder backward and pulled her body to face Ji-lan. She took advantage of the situation and whipped out her leg, which tore the air and made a sharp sound in the ring. Bang! When the two legs collided, Yenjika quickly swung her right leg back and used the momentum to punch Ji-lan's abdomen. Ji-lan knew how terrible the 24 blizzard strikes was. Once they collided, she immediately used the momentum to retreat. Her footwork was light and coordinated, leaving no chance for her opponent to follow up. Seeing this, Yenjika arched her feet and rushed forward silently, quickly chasing after her opponent. One of them retreated, and the other advanced. The distance between them narrowed quickly, as if they were dancing. During this process, Ji-lan changed her direction several times, but she was not as agile as Yenjika, who had begun to control her center of gravity. She could not get rid of her opponent and was about to be attacked. At this moment, she suddenly stopped, which made Yenjika unable to stop in time. Yenjika took a step forward, and the distance between them was less than an arm's length. With a bang, Ji-lan raised her right leg high and kicked her opponent's chin as fast as lightning. Her movement was like the kind of movement in dance where one would raise one's leg and press it against one's shoulder to stretch the ligaments. But such a fierce and fast force would hurt the body and make it unstable if one's ligaments, fascia, and muscles had not been trained to a certain level. This kick came suddenly and without warning, like an assassin's attack. Yenjika's back was covered in cold sweat, and she realized that she had been careless. In a split second, she used her waist as a fulcrum and leaned back, trying to avoid this dangerous kick. At the same time, she raised her hands according to her usual practice to resolve the follow-up killing move. Bang! The shadow of the kick flashed in front of Yenjika's eyes, and the sound of the wind hit her face. After the kick missed, Ji-lan exerted strength in her waist and back, pulling the right leg that was raised high, and made an aggressive axe chop, swinging it between her opponent's chest and abdomen. Serial kick technique. Yenjika half raised her body and raised her hands in time. One of her arms was raised to block the back of her opponent's Achilles tendon, while the other hand was empty and pushed to the side. As soon as the two sides touched, she lowered her arms to reduce the force. Together with the push from the side, she barely blocked the axe kick. Just when the spectators were relieved, Ji-lan took advantage of Yenjika's block and leaped into the air. Her left leg flew out and kicked at her opponent's body. Triple kick technique. Seeing that Yenjika couldn't raise her hands or legs to block the attack and was in imminent danger, she bounced her waist and straightened her body with great strength. Taking advantage of this momentum, she pulled back her arm that was blocking Ji-lan's tomahawk chop. With a flip and a push, she forcefully shook off Ji-lan and threw her far away, avoiding the fatal kick. After the 3 consecutive kicks failed to hit the target, Ji-lan immediately changed back to a wandering battle. She moved her legs and kept changing her position. From time to time, she would close in and kick, low, sideways, and roundhouse kicks. Yenjika also calmed down and countered the moves as they came, but she didn't give up the previous fighting style. Once she found an opportunity, she would chase and attack, but she was more cautious in her mind. During the chase and the exchange of blows, she locked onto her opponent again. Relying on her own flexibility, she gradually narrowed the distance between her and Ji-lan, making it impossible for her to get rid of her. Ji-lan gritted her teeth and suddenly jumped up. She kicked her legs quickly, fiercely, and fiercely. "I've been waiting for you." Yenjika had watched Ji-lan's competition videos and had the previous experience, so she was prepared for this. Her spine suddenly bounced like a dragon breaking out of its shackles. She stretched her muscles and bounced her waist and back, forcibly changing her center of gravity. She pulled her body back and dodged to the side, dodging Ji-lan's consecutive kicks in the air. Seizing the opportunity, she stretched out her hands and pushed to the side of Ji-lan. Ji-lan immediately flew diagonally and fell down. With a shake of her feet, Yenjika rushed forward. Before Ji-lan could steady herself, Yenjika put her right foot in between her legs and leaned forward, making Ji-lan completely lose her center of gravity and fall backward. Yenjika caught Ji-lan with her left hand and straightened her body. With a shake of her right arm, she punched Ji-lan's temple with a bang. Round 2, Yenjika wins. The referee shouted loudly. Yenjika retracted her hand comfortably. She gasped for breath and felt that she was almost at her limit. In the battle just now, she was so focused that she didn't think about this problem. She just wanted to defeat Ji-lan before she really couldn't hold on anymore. Ji-lan glanced at her and sighed dejectedly. She shook her head and turned back to the stone stairs. Fei Sanli touched his bald head and stood up helplessly. Gu Zhen and Gu Yu also looked gloomy. If this situation continued, their martial arts club might not even be able to see the leader of the other side. That would be too shameful. Without waiting for Fei Sanli to come to the arena, Yenjika waved to the audience on both sides with a sweet smile and left the arena amidst waves of cheers. Lu Chen walked up to her, extended his fist, and bumped it with hers. He praised her sincerely, awesome. Before this, he thought that Yenjika's achievement would be perfect if she could defeat Gu Yu. Unexpectedly, she defeated 2 opponents in a row. Yenjika smiled and raised her chin. She said, "Do you admire me?" "Yes, very much." Lu Qing answered with a smile. He didn't care about Xu Rui, who was recording the match nearby. This reporter should have known about his relationship with Yenjika. After all, she almost stopped them from being intimate. At this time, Li Mao left his seat and walked to them. "Come on." Lu Cheng and Yenjika bumped fists with him. Since Li Mao and Fei Sanli were new to the arena, they didn't need to recover their strength. The referee asked the staff to clean up the arena. Li Mao stood in a clean and empty place. Looking at the bald martial artist not far away, he couldn't help but think of the past. He sighed. At that time, he was trembling with fear and nervousness. At that time, he was filled with self-blame, regret, and pain. He really did not expect his current situation at all. Nervousness almost didn't affect the match. He even had a chance to reach the professional 9th pin. He closed his eyes and recalled Coach Shi's consolation and guidance, Lu Cheng's persuasion and encouragement, and the understanding and support of the special training members of the martial arts club. Thank you all. At the home team seats, Lu Cheng sat down with the exhausted Yenjika and looked up at the arena. What is senior brother Li Mao thinking about? He saw Li Mao with his eyes closed and gossiped out of boredom. Kai Zhongming took the initiative to answer, maybe he's thanking the country, the TV station, Songqing University, or something like that. Don't talk nonsense. Lu Qing glanced at him. You know it's nonsense. We can't read senior brother Li Mao's mind. How can we know what he's thinking? That question of yours was wrong to begin with. Kai Zhongming chuckled. After listening to their crosstalk for a while, Yenjika leaned over and whispered in Lu Cheng's ear, "Do you think senior brother Li Mao can win?" There's hope. Although senior brother Li Mao has only started the internal training method for a month and is still at the level of a strong amateur first class, and Fei Sanli is almost at the level of a professional 9th class fighter. But he participated in the ranking event and fought a few days of high-intensity matches, so he won't be in good condition. Let's say 60-40. Senior brother Li Mao, 40-40. Lu Qing analyzed. It sounds like you want senior brother Li Mao to lose. Yenjika opened her eyes and said with a smile. If he loses, I'll have a chance to fight. Lu Qing said with a smile. Yenjika pursed her lips and looked at him from the corner of her eyes. She said with a smile, "Is it interesting for you to bully a potential professional 9th-class fighter after a hard fight?" Lu Qing thought for a while and sighed while covering his face. "It's not interesting." Chapter 311. When the ring was cleaned, the referee let Li Mao and Fei Sanli get closer to each other. Then he raised his right hand and announced the start of the match. Li Mao had succeeded in meditating for several months now. He no longer had a superficial understanding of the 24 blizzard strikes. He was ready in both form and spirit. Therefore, he took the initiative to step forward, trying to seize the opportunity to attack and find an opportunity to use his moves. At this moment, his body was slightly trembling with a little bit of nervousness. But this was not the abnormal behavior that affected his judgment. It was the normal psychology of wanting to win and fearing to lose, which stimulated the secretion of hormones and nerves. Fei Sanli had anticipated Li Mao's opening attack. He didn't play guerrilla warfare or avoid the sharp edge of the 24 blizzard strikes. He lowered his head and bulged his muscles. He turned into a bison and rushed to meet Li Mao's attack. His bald head reflected the light in the room, creating a bit of ferociousness. When the two were about to collide, Fei Sanli suddenly turned sideways, raised his left arm, and waved his elbow to hit Li Mao's chest. Li Mao was not in a hurry. He visualized the mega avalanche and raised his arms, one supporting and the other pushing. He firmly blocked Li Mao's elbow attack and took advantage of the momentum to tighten his waist and back, ready to counterattack with his leg. But Fei Sanli was not easy to deal with. He followed Li Mao closely. With the help of the collision, he swung his waist and waved his right fist toward Li Mao's face, aiming at the bridge of his nose and the space between his eyebrows. Li Mao straightened his spine and channeled his strength to shoot out his left arm to block in front of his face, firmly protecting himself. Bang! The punch made a muffled sound and stirred up the wind. At this distance, Li Mao's eyes were the first to be affected. He subconsciously became weak to avoid the wind blowing in and irritating his eyes. This was the effect Fei Sanli wanted to achieve. While Li Mao's line of sight was blocked, he used his left elbow as a fulcrum to fling out his forearm. He spread his 5 fingers and fiercely and quickly slapped Li Mao's throat. Originally, he could have used this move from the very beginning, but he patiently waited until the enemy's eyes were blown by the wind, then he leisurely used it. For a moment, Li Mao couldn't see clearly and lost confidence in his judgment. He couldn't help but feel a little scared. He didn't dare to take the blow head-on. He exerted strength in his legs and jumped back a big step. He quickly adjusted his muscles in an attempt to control his center of gravity in the shortest time possible. How could Fei Sanli let go of this opportunity? Since his attack missed, he quickly closed in on his opponent. Then, with a burst of strength from his shoulders, he turned his palms into knives and chopped down from both sides. Li Mao had just steadied himself and opened his eyes again. He didn't have time to dodge, so he could only shake his arms and swing them out to meet the enemy's palm blade. During the exchange of blows, Fei Sanli's palm blade changed from a chop to a press. He pulled his waist, thighs, and pulled out his left foot, straight between his opponent's legs. Pa! His left leg tightened into a whip, tearing the air along the way, making Li Mao's hair stand on end. He suddenly turned his waist, the lower half of his body diagonally facing the enemy. Then, he lifted his right leg and bent his knee for a short strike. This series of attacks caused him to be a little flustered and frightened. Fortunately, he did not lose his composure and was unable to respond in time. Bang! In the muffled sound, Li Mao borrowed strength and kicked his right foot down. He was about to lean forward and punch to counterattack with the momentum of brutal blizzard. However, when Fei Sanli saw that he could not succeed, he sensibly dodged and circled behind Li Mao, not giving him a chance to counterattack. Seeing this, Li Mao restrained his impetuous feeling and calmed down. He adjusted his position and countered the attacks as they came, but at the same time, he did not forget to look for opportunities to create a situation suitable for himself. Pa pa pa! Bang bang bang. The two sometimes fought hand to hand and sometimes separated. Fei Sanli was shrewd and sleek, firmly controlling the rhythm and not letting Li Mao use 24 blizzard strikes more than twice. They fought fiercely for several minutes, which made the students feel satisfied. From time to time, they blew their trumpets and banged their inflatable hammers, as if they were here to celebrate a festival. Li Mao thought that Fei Sanli had only played a few matches of professional ninth pin and had only recovered for less than a week, so he did not rush to attack. He fought in a well-behaved manner, waiting for an opportunity to come. While they were fighting, he suddenly saw the bald man's knees soften and his sliding steps stagnate. Opportunity. Li Mao was refreshed. He took a big step forward, exerted strength under his feet, spread his right arm, and blasted a blast punch forward. Fei Sanli quickly lowered his center of gravity and raised his arms to block. Bang! Li Mao's right fist failed to break the opponent's stance and bounced back. But in his mind, he had already visualized the scene of a blizzard. He slightly changed his posture, adjusted his muscles, and used the force to shake out his left arm. He stabbed at the enemy's throat like a big gun. Fei Sanli's eyes did not move, but his other hand clenched into a fist and punched back the blow. The brutal blizzard did not stop once it started. Li Mao took advantage of the situation and kicked with a whistling sound. But right at this moment, his thighs suddenly felt sore and weak. His strength paused, and he almost fell down. Fei Sanli smiled and leaned forward. He stretched out his right hand, opened his 5 fingers, and pinched Li Mao's neck. Humph, who doesn't know that 24 blizzard strikes is a test of endurance? I let you hit so many times in order to exhaust your physical strength and push you to the limit step by step. In the end, he purposely showed a flaw, forcing you to use brutal blizzard again. And at this time, how many moves can you make in your current state? Hee, if you continue to fight steadily, I will have a flaw, and the winner will be uncertain. The referee raised his right hand and announced the result. Fei Sanli wins. Hearing this, Fei Sanli withdrew his right hand and looked at Li Mao with a smile. Boy, you are still too inexperienced. Although we are all juniors, I have been through hundreds of battles. Li Mao exhaled, feeling a little lost and sad, but more of self-examination and reflection. He did not feel the pain. In a martial arts competition, there was no such thing as only winning and not losing. And Fei Sanli was indeed better than him. He turned and walked to the stone steps, while the students in the stands cheered and encouraged him. Li Mao, come on. You fought well. They were very confident about the final result, and the temporary failure did not affect their mood at all. Hearing these cheers, Li Mao smiled and raised his hands to thank them, without any guilt or pressure. In the home team seats, Lu Qing looked at Yan Zhika and said with a smile, "It seems that I have to bully the weak." Yan Zhika rolled her eyes at him and hummed, "If you can't win in 3 moves, don't come back." She reached out and high-fived Lu Qing. 3 moves. You are too lenient to Qing, aren't you? Kai Zongming interrupted, I'll bet on 1 move. Bet on what? Lu Qing did not rush to the arena, but bumped fists with his team members one by one. Kai Zongming said without hesitation, bet on my integrity. Don't you go easy on me. Forget it. What's the point of betting on something you don't have? Lu Qing tidied his sleeves and walked to the stone steps. Seeing him, the whole stadium suddenly became noisy. Yan Shaoling standing in the aisle, Zhao Chang, Li Liantong, and the others in their seats all raised their voices and shouted a name. Lu Cheng. The sound was overwhelming, as if they were welcoming their hero. Lu Qing waved his hand and walked along the road to the stone steps. Mu Jinyan in the stands stamped his feet and complained that Coach Shi did not let Lin Ke go. Standing in front of Fei Sanli, Lu Qing looked calm and his eyes were clear. He smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'll do my best." This was the respect for the fighter. Don't worry. I don't have King feel relieved at all. Please, don't respect me. Fei Sanli took a deep breath and saw the referee raise his right hand again. He shouted, "Start!" He did not even bother to say which round it was. Anyway, it was the last round. Fei Sanli knew that he was exhausted and did not struggle. Anyway, it was not shameful to lose to Lu Cheng. Even in his best condition, there was a huge gap between him and Lu Cheng, let alone now. He abruptly took a few steps forward, swung his arm, and punched out powerfully. Lu Cheng smiled. He opened his right hand and grasped Fei Sanli with his palm. When they touched, Lu Cheng suddenly reversed his qi and blood and condensed them in his lower abdomen. Fei Sanli suddenly felt his fist sinking into nothingness. It was soft and powerless. Then he saw the enemy's arm bulging and felt a violent and majestic force surging toward him. It was as if he had encountered a real dragon that had ascended to the sky. Lu Cheng's dantian qi gushed out. He swung his waist and back, shook his arm and threw Fei Sanli high into the air. Fei Sanli entered the state of cloud riding without resistance. He quickly adjusted his center of gravity and tried to stabilize his body. But he was surprised to find that he did not lose his balance at all. He just flew up. Bam! He landed firmly on the ground and saw the edge of the arena. He saw it from the outside. He was thrown out of the arena from the center position. He did not know how many meters he flew, but his center of gravity was stable and he did not stagger. His ability to lift something heavy as if it were light was simply terrifying. Fei Sanli looked up in surprise and saw Lu Cheng had put away his stance and was standing there leisurely. At this time, the referee announced the final result. Lu Cheng wins. Songqing University Martial Arts Club wins. The students were stunned by the scene just now. They had a feeling that it was unscientific. Only when they heard the referee's voice did they come back to their senses. They blew their small trumpets to create a lively atmosphere. When Lu Cheng turned around and left the arena, they shouted in unison, "Lu Cheng! Lu Cheng! Lin Ke! Lin Ke! Songqing University! Songqing University!" Enjoying the atmosphere, Lu Cheng returned to his seat and said to Yan Zhika with a smile, "One move." Yan Zhika snorted and turned her head with a smile. Then she looked at the arena and both sides. She suddenly thought of the next division and the final round in April next year. At this time, Xu Rui came over with her team to record the details of their celebration. "Lin Ke, I rarely see you play with your phone." She glanced at the expressionless young man who was typing on the screen. Lin Ke looked at her and did not answer. He continued to type in the search box. "What's the joke about the hunter and the bear?" Chapter 312. After a round of greetings, the members of the martial arts club returned to the locker room joyfully. Xu Rui, leading the team, followed them in with a smile. "Just do what you need to do. Just pretend that we don't exist." After applying, she got Geezer Shi's permission to enter the locker room for the next few matches and shoot some material to enrich the details of the documentary. Hearing her words, everyone looked at each other and secretly complained, "We are not exhibitionists. How can we act as usual in front of the camera?" Especially Lu Cheng, he was even more depressed. "Well, the good thing of applying ointment for my fairy is gone." He didn't want to take advantage of her. After all, there were many unfamiliar junior brothers and sisters in the locker room. It would be awkward to be too close to Yan Zhika. He just wanted to treat it as a warm and sweet daily routine. However, a group of uninvited guests came and he had to do his own thing. Yan Zhika looked at him subconsciously and seemed to notice something. She rolled her eyes, bit her lips, turned her head, and said in a low voice, "I'm in a good mood. Let's go for a walk tonight." Did Ka misunderstand something? Well, it's a good misunderstanding. A smile appeared on Lu Cheng's face as he agreed. Okay. The moon was bright and the stars were sparse. The wind by the lake was cool. Yan Zhika put on her boyfriend's coat and held his forearm. She walked slowly on the path with faint sounds of water. She raised her head slightly and said with excitement and longing, Cheng, what do you think we can do in this martial arts competition? Her hair was slightly messy, her face was bright red, her pink lips were moist and glossy, and her eyes were bright and watery. Lu Cheng put one hand in his pocket and felt refreshed. He thought for a while and said with a smile, I'm only telling you. I won't tell anyone else. Otherwise, I'll be laughed at. My goal is to be the champion, the national champion. What a coincidence. Me too. Yenjika replied with a smile and a look of surprise in her eyes. She raised her voice at the end. I know Shanbei is very strong, Capital College is strong, Huahai and Guangnan are not weak either. In other people's eyes, they can firmly suppress us. But I still want to win and I think we have a chance to win. Lu Qing didn't hide his chest in front of his girlfriend. That's right, next April, who knows how much you and my brother will grow. But we can't be careless. It's said that Chu Hui of Sanjiang has become much stronger, and Shannon is not easy to deal with. The two of them walked along the lakeside and weaved their future together. They were in high spirits and seemed to have endless topics to talk about. As they approached the long bridge, they suddenly saw a familiar figure standing by the railing of the wooden platform. Ah Qing. Yenjika tried to call her with uncertainty. Guo Qing turned around abruptly and wiped the corners of her eyes in a panic. She laughed dryly and said, Ku, Cheng, what a coincidence. I thought I recognized the wrong person. Yenjika chuckled at first. Then she noticed that something was wrong with Qing and asked with concern, Qing, what's wrong? They were all crying. Guo Qing lowered her eyes and clenched her fists. I don't want to. I want to quit the special training. Lin Sanjiu was thinking if she should ask Cheng to leave first so that Qing wouldn't feel embarrassed to talk to her. You don't want to join the special training? Why? Yenjika blurted out. Lu Cheng was also surprised. Why did Guo Qing suddenly want to quit the special training? Guo Qing took a deep breath and forced a smile. I'm in my second year. I'm so nervous about my classes. I'm afraid that my grades will drop again. I think I should focus on my studies. Yenjika seemed to have sensed something. Instead of persuading her directly, she kept silent and considered her words. At this moment, Guo Qing walked a few steps impatiently. Like a tight string that had finally reached its limit, she suddenly broke down and said, Ku, I feel so useless. I'm so stressed. I've been practicing visualization for more than a year, but I still can't enter meditation. I'm so sad to see you guys surpass me one by one, running faster and farther away. I've cried several times. The junior brothers and sisters behind me are also stronger than me. I can't even be a substitute now. I'm almost out of the list. The boy I'm chasing doesn't like me. My grades are dropping so badly that I've been criticized by the counselor. I'm such a failure. I'm so useless. Listening to her hysterical outburst, Lu Qing felt like he had never known her before. He didn't expect this straightforward, outgoing, silly sister to have accumulated so many negative emotions and bears so much pressure. He turned to look at Yenjika and saw the same expression on the girl's face. She was shocked, pitiful and shocked. When they were chatting, Qing was always the one who showed off, making others unable to feel her pain and sadness. Who knew that she had such a weak, helpless and desperate side? In the locker room this afternoon, she seemed to be very sad. Qing, relax a little. You are like this because you put too much pressure on yourself. Well, if you want to withdraw from the special training, then withdraw temporarily. When the time comes, relax and forget about the pressure. Maybe you will succeed one day. We will always welcome you back. You will always be a member of our martial arts club. Yenjika bit her lower lip and said in a soft voice. She comforted her in a way that didn't irritate her and made some suggestions. Guo Qing wiped her face with tears in her eyes and said with a bitter smile, Ku, you don't need to comfort me. I've vented and I feel much better. I finally understand that people are different. Maybe I'm not talented enough to walk this path. Anyway, I'm in my 3rd year of the amateur career now, so I have more assurance in finding a job. I'll still come to the martial arts class twice a week, but I have to pay more attention to my studies. She sniffed and continued, I won't be in the special training team anymore, but I'll cheer for you in the stands. I'll be proud of your grades. Guoqing became more and more confused. Finally, she stopped talking and pointed to the bridge. I'll go back first. If I didn't have hope, I wouldn't be so sad now. If I'd been like Sister Xiaowen and the others from the beginning and just wanted to get the amateur certificate, I'd definitely stay in the special training team. Ku, Cheng, everyone, I'm sorry, I'm a deserter. Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika had no experience in this kind of situation, so they didn't know how to persuade her. They could only watch Guoqing leave in a hurry. Lu Cheng turned his head to look at Yan Zhika with mixed feelings. He found that Yan Zhika also looked gloomy. She had been pursing her lips and was very depressed. He hugged the girl and comforted her. Ku, don't be sad. Didn't you say that there are 2 kinds of friends? One is the kind that you can be friends with for a lifetime, and the other is the crossing line. After a certain period of time, you'll gradually drift apart. Like other people in Guoqing's dormitory, he still chatted with Chang, old Qiu, and model worker from time to time, but he was completely unfamiliar with their faces. Although this was the first and possibly the last dormitory in his college career. Yan Zhika buried her face in his shoulder and hit him lightly. She said in a muffled voice, don't talk. I know the reason, but I still can't help but feel depressed and sad. Lu Qing stroked her back gently and looked at Guoqing, who was getting farther and farther away. Suddenly, a song came to his mind. Although it was not so suitable, it was still a little appropriate. There are thousands of doors, but there is always one who has to go first. Alas, for this rare reunion, we must leave the best and most profound memories. We must win the championship of the National University Martial Arts Competition once. Guoqing's withdrawal surprised and shocked Li Mao, Sun Jian, and the others. The depression lingered in the special training team for a long time. But after a week, when the second round of the knockout competition was over, everyone had almost forgotten about it when they enjoyed the victory and ridiculed Kai Zongming's performance. They no longer mentioned Guoqing. This was cruel, but this was the reality. Everyone adjusted their mood and moved forward. They easily passed the third round of the knockout competition and entered their group. The first game was an away game against the seeded team of their group, Shannon University Martial Arts Club. On Saturday morning, the high-speed train drove out of the station. Lu Cheng and the others sat separately, either looking out of the window at the fast-passing scenery or whispering about their opponents. The first strong opponent of this competition was coming. Chapter 313. Mu Yu, top professional 9th pin. He's good at ancient Xingyi martial arts such as dragon, tiger, leopard, bear, eagle, and modern martial arts such as cannon fist and spear finger, but he hasn't mastered tremor force yet. He has the supernatural ability of misfortune and is known as Bane. He can cause bad luck to a specific person within 20 meters. The backlash will be random friends and family. He looks so old that it's almost premature. His nickname is Old Man Mu. Lin Xiaoji, female, top professional 9th pin. She's quite talented in martial arts and is expected to enter the Dan stage before graduation. She was taught by Mu Yu and is good at martial arts similar to his. Her catchphrase is "I used to believe in science." She has amulets and defensive spells from various martial arts sects, but she's still the one with the highest probability. Jean Dolly, strong professional 9th pin. He just got his certificate in October. His martial arts are of the same origin as Mu Yu and Lin Xiaoji. His fighting style is relatively aggressive and he likes to court death. His family is in engineering and he likes to race. He often rides a heavy motorcycle to school. He's easygoing and a little hyperactive. While the bullet train was speeding, the information of the leading fighters of the Martial Arts Club of Shannon University flashed through Lu Cheng's mind. He and Yan Zhika often discussed these things so that they wouldn't be defeated by Shan Bei in the quarterfinals. At this moment, his phone vibrated with a message. Lu Cheng picked it up and found it was a message from Mo Jingting, his martial niece. Oh, ___. Oh young martial uncle, I'm going to hold a concert in Songqing next week. As the host and elder, why don't you entertain me? I've also prepared some VIP tickets for you. You can give them to your friends. Acting cute on purpose. Lu Qing complained and directly handed the phone to Yan Zhika, who was leaning against him. I used to want to buy tickets and go to her concert with you. But now I feel like I've been disillusioned. Going to a concert was one of the options for dating. Yan Zhika was not in good spirits and her lips were a little pale. She took the phone and smiled. Why don't you go? Let's go together. Ah. Lu Qing didn't expect Ko to have such an attitude and didn't know how to react. What kind of script is this? It's better to face this kind of thing openly. After all, she's your martial niece. It's impossible that you won't interact with her forever. Let's go entertain her together. After listening to the concert, she'll know what to do. Yan Zhika tilted her head and glanced at Lu Cheng with a smile. She knows that her current attitude will only annoy you, right? Yes. Coach Yan is right. He thought for a moment and added, I'm just worried that she'll find out about your background and spread the news to Shushan Study and your grandpa and grandma. Yan Zhika rolled her eyes and said, if she had found out about it in private, she might have spread the news. But if we meet her openly, she won't say anything. Her purpose is to please you, not to offend you. Unless she really likes you. Being glanced at by her with a smile that was not a smile, Lu Qing hurriedly said, how is that possible? Someone like her who works in the entertainment industry has long since stopped liking such things. He took the phone and replied to the message. If you have time to go out of school, my girlfriend and I would like to invite you to try out the specialty of Songcheng. A few minutes later, Mo Jingting sent a message. Okay. I'm looking forward to it. Tell her for me. How should I call her? Anyway, say thank you. Yan Zhika leaned on Lu Cheng's shoulder and read the message with a smile. She raised her chin slightly and said, see, isn't the tone a little different? No more emojis. Lu Cheng nodded and then asked in a low voice, does your stomach feel better? Yan Zhika was in the middle of her period and couldn't fight in this match. She was a little disappointed, but Lu Cheng was happy to see it. If she fought with Mu Yu, who knew what strange things would happen? There was once a male fighter whose crotch tore itself when fighting with him. A gentleman should be magnanimous, damn it, please don't do anything bad, or it will be a black mark for the rest of my life. Lu Cheng thought with fear. Much better. I felt better before we left. Your ginger tea is very comfortable. Yan Zhika played with her boyfriend's fingers and looked at the desolate early winter scenery outside. When it was almost noon, the high-speed train arrived at the station. The members of the martial arts club gathered in front of the gate. This time, they didn't have a car to pick them up like in the preliminaries. They had to take separate taxis. Is there anyone with a bad sense of direction? As the club president, Kai Zongming asked carefully. Me. 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 Hizi raised her hand, Li Xiaowen raised his hand, Yan Xiaoling and Mu Jinyan, who came as fans of the team, also raised their hands. Kai Zongming's mouth twitched. Why are you a roomful of bad sense of direction? Birds of a feather flock together. Yan Xiaoling answered seriously and proudly. Then you have to split up and let others take you. Don't lose yourselves. Kai Zongming said with a smile. Yan Zhika leaned over and whispered in Lu Cheng's ear, actually, I'm a bit of a bad sense of direction too. I really don't see it. Lu Cheng was surprised. Anyway, We have mobile navigation now. I just can't tell north from south. Yenjika pursed her lips. And I have a human navigation device. I always thought that people who are good at science wouldn't be bad at sense of direction. Lu Qing sighed with a smile. I think so too. Yenjika said with a sad and angry face. But there are always exceptions. When Shu Rui and the shooting team arrived, they found some food in the high-speed railway station and then divided into groups to take taxis to the old campus of Shannon University. Little Ming was a clever boy. He let Lu Cheng and Yenjika form a group without anyone else. In his words, he had to take care of other people's eyes and ears. In the afternoon, the road was not congested and the taxi drove smoothly. The driver looked at him in the mirror and smiled. Hey, are you also a student of Southern University? Me? Lu Cheng held Yenjika's finger with one hand and pointed at himself with the other. Yeah. You look like a student. Are you picking up your girlfriend at the high-speed railway station? The driver changed the topic. Why do you think so? Why can't she pick me up at the high-speed railway station because she is a student of Southern University? Lu Cheng argued with a smile. The driver laughed. In this world, only men pick up women. No woman picks up men. That's not necessarily true. Lu Cheng looked at Yenjika with a smile. Will you pick me up? Yenjika looked at him and snorted. Depends on my mood. The driver seemed to have confirmed Lu Cheng's identity. He immediately nagged, my daughter is also a student of Southern University in the School of Macromolecule. Well, there aren't many girls majoring in macromolecule, Lu Cheng said casually. That can't be helped. No one in my family knows about it. The driver answered carelessly. She was supposed to go home last night. She said that there was a martial arts competition today and she had to cheer for the team. What's the point of a girl watching this kind of fighting? It's okay. It's good for her health and self-protection, Lu Cheng said perfunctorily. The Martial Arts Club of Southern University is very strong. We often hear that old man Mu can beat 10 people by himself. The driver didn't care about Lu Cheng's opinion and continued with a smile. Mu Yu. He has a supernatural ability and is known as the Bane. Lu Cheng added with interest when hearing about martial arts. Yenjika also listened with great interest. Yes. The driver was more convinced of Lu Cheng's identity. You also like martial arts competitions? After chatting for a while, Lu Cheng and Yenjika had a good impression of the martial arts atmosphere of Shannon University. The driver almost introduced his daughter to them. At the north gate of the university, the martial arts club gathered. They walked through the road with dozens of hundreds of old trees and arrived at the stadium. There was still more than an hour before the competition started. There were only a dozen students doing exercises in the stadium. Fortunately, the receptionist of the Martial Arts Club of Shannon University had already talked to Li Xiaowen. He waited by the door and led them into the visiting team locker room. At the door of the strength training gym, a tall figure looked at the scene and sighed. Songqing University is early. She had a high ponytail and looked clean and fresh. However, she was wearing gaudy clothes, such as Buddhist beads, Taoist symbols, crosses, Arabic and so on. She was Lin Xiaoji, one of the leading members of the Martial Arts Club of Shannon University. She was a little unsettled because of the upcoming battle, so she decided to come to the Martial Arts Club in advance to do some warming up. Lin Xiaoji walked to the locker room of the home team with the key in her hand. She turned the key and found the door was already open. She pushed the door open and saw old man Mu Yu, who looked like a man in his 40s or 50s. His hair was sparse. Captain, you're early too. Lin Xiaoji blurted out in surprise. Mu Yu lowered his hands and leaned forward. He sighed and said, I'm a little nervous, just like last time when we were fighting against Shanbei. Double Dan stage, one at 7 and one at 8. It was almost the same as last year's Shanbei. As soon as he finished speaking, the door of the locker room was pushed open again. Jean Dolly walked in with a hippie hairstyle. He was startled and said, "Damn, there's someone even earlier than me. Why are you all here?" "We're just worried about this match. If we lose, we'll probably face Shanbei in the quarterfinals." Lin Xiaoji didn't hide her emotions. But she quickly adjusted and smiled again. "But we still have a chance. First, they might be careless and only send one of them, Lin Ke or Lu Cheng." "Impossible. This is a crucial match." Mu Yu denied. "Second, they're still training their substitutes. The first one to fight will definitely not be Lu Cheng or Lin Quebec. And they're probably worried about your supernatural ability, so they'll send Lu Cheng, who has insane stamina, to hold the line. In this way, as long as Xiao Jin and I can finish off their first fighter quickly, we can take turns to fight Lin Quebec. Although we're not as good as him and Lu Cheng in the first half of the year, we can still consume a lot of his stamina, which is his weakness." Lin Xiaoji spoke with assurance. "At that time, when facing him who's close to his limit, your supernatural ability will be very effective. You won't consume too much of your stamina, so there's hope for you to fight Lu Cheng. I used to believe in science, but now I believe in metaphysics even more." She ended with a witty remark. "But the substitutes of Songqing University have all grown up. It won't be easy to finish them off quickly." Mu Yu sighed again. Lin Xiaoji smiled and said, "That's good. I haven't had a chance to use the new thing I've learned. Besides, the outside world thinks Songqing University will win. They think we can't win. This will make them proud and arrogant." Speaking of this, she looked at Mu Yu and then at Jean Dolly. Suddenly, her expression became solemn. "Besides, there's a saying that goes, an army with grief will always win." Chapter 314. When the match was about to start, Geyser clapped his hands in the visiting team's locker room to wake up the members who were resting with their eyes closed. "It's almost time. Get up and get ready. When we play Shanbei, we have to extort some money from the stingy school. We have to go there one day earlier. We can't be so tired again." The martial arts club still had some funds left, but it was rare to ask for money openly. Geyser certainly didn't want to miss this opportunity, especially since he could stimulate the principal and find an excuse to drink with him. Starting from the group stage, Songqing, which didn't perform well last year, would play away games all the time, even if it was the first versus the second in the quarterfinals. This made Li Liantong, Zhong Yanru and other students feel very regretful because they couldn't witness the victory in the Songqing University Martial Arts Club and cheer for them together. Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika were full of motivation when they chatted in secret. They wanted to fight for more home games next year. "Coach Shi, I'm afraid the school will give us money to stay in the guest house." Kai Zhongming moved his body and talked nonsense. "How dare they?" Geyser scolded with a smile. "Are they trying to dismiss a beggar? Either they don't give us money, or they should be more straightforward." Speaking of this, Li Xiaowen opened the door and smiled gently. "Coach Shi, the supervisor is asking for the match list. Isn't it simple?" Geyser looked around at Lu Cheng and the others. "We can't fail at such an easy task, right? Lu Cheng and Lin Ke will play together today." Hearing this, Lu Cheng couldn't help but look at Lin Ke, only to see his brother-in-law was also looking at him. When their eyes met, they felt the eagerness of each other. This was the first time that the two leading members of the martial arts club would play together this semester. Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika looked at each other and smiled. They had a tacit understanding. They had been sure of this for a long time. Li Mao, Lin Hua, and the other members were relieved and became more certain. They were afraid that Coach Shi would be so capricious that he had to train the substitutes at this time and only send one leading member. But Geyser suddenly changed the topic. "Shannon is not that great of an opponent. We still need to accumulate actual combat experience as much as possible. In this case, brat, you'll be the last. Otherwise, it'll be boring for others to just watch. His words made the crowd burst into laughter. They were all deeply impressed by Lu Cheng's abnormal physical strength. Yes, master. Lu Cheng smiled and answered in a light tone. Now that he had formally become Gizershur's disciple, he could openly call him Gizershur. As for the other one, we'll follow the principle of taking turns to fight. Sun Jian, you'll take the lead. Without hesitation, Shi Zhengwo casually chose the most senior member of the martial arts club. With Lin Ke and Lu Qing behind him, Sun Jian had no qualms about being the vanguard. This time, I'm not afraid of not having a chance to go on stage. Puff. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh as he turned his head. This was the joke everyone used to make fun of senior brother Sun Jian during the preliminaries in the first half of the year. He actually still remembered it. Yenjika also covered her mouth and giggled. She winked at her boyfriend, hinting that this was all his fault. She was in high spirits because even if she was in good condition, it seemed that she would not have the chance to compete today. Beside them, Li Xiaowen quickly recorded the list and order of the main force. Sun Jian, Lin Ke, Lu Cheng. When the laughter stopped, Gizershur waved his hand carelessly. The substitutes will follow the old rules. Li Mao, Kai Zongming, Lin Hua. After the announcement, he looked at He Zi and Wang Dali. You may not have a chance to fight in the next 2 semesters. Just follow the others and broaden your horizons. Put more energy into the individual ranking event. Yes, Coach Shi. The 2 freshmen were still interested in the novelty and had a sense of honor, so they answered with vigor. Of course, He Zi's current interest was in her identity as a frontline cat reporter. After the main force and the substitutes were confirmed, Li Xiaowen turned around and walked out to submit the list. As the door of the locker room opened and closed, Lu Qing saw that it was full of students outside, with only a few empty seats. The martial arts atmosphere in Shannon is really good. He praised in his heart, thinking of the taxi driver's daughter. She was definitely among the thousands of students, unremarkable and ordinary. However, it was precisely because of the accumulation of these unremarkable and ordinary spectators that he was able to create an atmosphere that moved him and made martial artists hot-blooded. Let's go. After waiting for a while, Gizershur waved his hand and coughed twice. With a creak, the door opened. The picture of Shannon University's martial arts arena was reflected in the eyes of Lu Cheng, Yenjika, and the others. They raised huge banners with their common thoughts written on them. Together through thick and thin. Win or lose, we'll stand together through thick and thin. Just as the people of Songqing University Martial Arts Club walked out, one of the stands suddenly erupted with tsunami-like shouts. Shannon University. The other side of the stands immediately responded. Never admit defeat. The sound waves were deafening and the momentum was astonishing. In such an environment, martial artists with a slightly weaker mentality would have their will shaken, and it would be difficult for them to exert their full strength. Unfortunately, most of the members of the martial arts club were old foxes. They had seen Yimo's hellish home ground, so they were not frightened by this kind of friendly demonstration. After a wave of shouts, the referee stepped into the ring, and the broadcast announced the first match in real time, Sun Jian of Songqing University Martial Arts Club. Shannon University Martial Arts Club. The announcer paused for a moment to give the audience time to react. Then he shouted at the top of his voice, Lin Xiaoji. Lin Xiaoji. The students responded with the greatest enthusiasm and excitement. This made them look like they had the upper hand, and not the home team that everyone thought had little hope of winning. Lin Xiaoji. Lu Qing murmured thoughtfully. In his and Ku's opinion, apart from supernatural ability, Lin Xiaoji was probably stronger than Mu Yu in terms of martial arts. There was a great chance that she would enter the dance stage next year. I always feel that senior brother Sun's luck is not very good. Yenjika whispered in his ear, pursing her lips and laughing. You can't say that. Seeing the full power of a top professional ninth pin will be very helpful for him to get the professional certificate. Lu Qing said seriously and then joked, at least he didn't meet Mu Yu directly, right? Sun Jian didn't hear their discussion. He bumped his fists one by one and strode to the arena with his head held high. Standing on the right side of the referee, he saw Lin Xiaoji stopping in front of the stone steps. She took off the Buddhist prayer beads, small crosses, and Taoist amulets one by one and handed them to the match supervisor. She really lives up to her reputation. Sun Jian exclaimed. Then he opened his eyes wide because Lin Xiaoji wasn't done yet. She took out a tantric dharma bell from her pocket, rolled up her trousers, untied the red string with strange characters written on it, and took out a lucky star from her hair. Damn, how many things did she hide? Is this necessary? Is she a metaphysical martial artist? Sun Jian thought, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. After a while, Lin Xiaoji finally finished. Before entering the arena, she specifically reminded the match supervisor, "Senior, don't lose it. I have a feeling that our captain is going to make a big move tonight. I don't want to be an unlucky kid." After nagging, she finally came to Sun Jian and apologized with a sincere smile. The corner of the referee's mouth twitched and he announced the start of the conversation. "Let me ask you, do these things work?" Sun Jian couldn't hide his curiosity and asked. He didn't want to provoke her with words. He had to maintain his composure in front of a girl. Lin Xiaoji nodded sincerely. "They work. I tested it with my flesh. When I wasn't wearing these, my captain's counterattack would randomly hit me 7 or 8 times out of 10. Now, it's only 4 times out of 10. I used to believe in science, but now I really believe in this. Why do I hear an unbearable past?" Sun Jian looked at the other party sympathetically and pondered for a moment before saying. Lin Xiaoji opened her mouth as if she wanted to talk about her past sufferings, but in the end, she only said, "Sigh." Sun Jian didn't say anything more to avoid being affected by bad luck. Lin Xiaoji seized the time to get used to the situation without the amulets. In the quiet atmosphere, the referee raised his right hand and started the focus of the match. "Begin." Lin Xiaoji arched her back and the muscles on the soles of her feet stretched and bounced. She shot out like a beautiful and dangerous cheetah. She was so fast that Sun Jian couldn't react in time. However, Sun Jian didn't retreat. Instead, he moved forward. Most of the audience was stunned. He rushed toward his terrifying opponent as if he wanted to fight head-on. Seeing that they were about to meet, he stomped on the ground with his right foot and used a strange technique to change the direction of his body like a catapult. He strangely circled to Lin Xiaoji's side. Catapult body movement of modern Xingyi. Bam! Sun Jian straightened his knees and waist, swung his shoulders and arms, and hit the best forward punch in a while. He tried his best to gain the upper hand and didn't give his strong opponent a chance to catch her breath. Lin Xiaoji suddenly bounced her spine and forcibly changed her center of gravity. She changed her position and stabilized her body. She shook her left arm and swung it in the opposite direction. It was heavy and powerful. Bam! With a loud bang, Sun Jian took a step back and removed part of the force. He borrowed part of the force and jumped forward. Half-step crushing punch. Brutal blizzard came with a roar. Facing this, Lin Xiaoji didn't change her expression. She suddenly took a deep breath, her face turned red, and her temples bulged. Then she swung her body and hit the powerful modern blast punch. Bam! Her fist trembled and swayed in the air as if it was affected by the wind. Bam! Their fists hit each other with a roar. Sun Jian's vision blurred and he felt a strong shock wave sweep over his whole body. His qi and blood were rolling, his internal organs were uncomfortable, his muscles, tendons, and bones were trembling, and he couldn't exert force. Bam! Lin Xiaoji seized the opportunity and stepped forward. Her eagle claw reached out and stopped in front of Sun Jian's throat. Round 1, Lin Xiaoji wins. The referee announced loudly. Tremor punch? Yenjika straightened her back and muttered to herself. She subconsciously glanced at her boyfriend beside her. Lu Qing nodded to her, indicating that it was true. Lin Xiaoji's modern blast punch had developed the tremor force. This was something new that she hadn't shown before. While Li Mao and the others were still in shock, Lin Ke stood up with an expressionless face and tore off his overcoat. Chapter 315. Lin Xiaoji. Lin Xiaoji. The entire audience was silent at first. The sound of the trumpets could be heard sporadically. Then, they burst into cheers and shouts. The cheers shook the heavens. They were sure that Lin Xiaoji could beat Sun Jian, but they didn't expect her to win so quickly and so easily. It was like she was bullying a noob, and she seemed to have learned something new. This was really a morale-boosting battle. In the seats of the home team, Jean Dolly and several substitutes stood up and waved their towels excitedly. Damn, why is it me again? Why is it always my turn to be this good thing? In the arena, Sun Jian shook his head to stop the dizziness, withdrew his qi and blood, and tried to find joy in the bitterness. Fortunately, I have a good mentality. He didn't waste any time, turned around, and walked quickly to the stone steps. He met Lin Ke halfway, who was full of fighting spirit. She has learned tremor force. Sun Jian stretched out his fist and reminded him in a low voice. Lin Ke nodded indifferently, and bumped his fist with Sun Jian when they passed each other. Looking at him approaching step by step, Lin Xiaoji hurriedly exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi. She visualized the scene of clouds and wind blowing to calm herself down. In this battle with Lin Ke, she only had one strategy and one purpose, and that was to wear him out. Wearing him out a few times of Dan's stage outbursts would be a victory. The longer she wore him out, the greater the victory. She didn't expect to defeat an 8th pin Dan stage fighter who had mastered force. Back then, Lin Ke and Lu Qing were so fierce that they could only barely defeat Wei Xingtian, who was nothing special, by taking turns to fight him. Lin Ke appeared very quiet and reserved in the midst of the sound waves that reverberated throughout the stadium. However, when he stood in the predetermined position, Lin Xiaoji suddenly felt as if there was a huge mountain or a huge river in front of her. She felt as if she was looking up at a huge mountain or a huge river. Is this the suppression of the Dan stage? She took a deep breath and tried to get rid of her current state. Qing, how many moves do you think Lin Ke will take to win? Kai Zongming couldn't help but ask. Lu Qing rolled his eyes at him and said, anyway, you have no moral integrity to bet. How many moves Lu Qing would take to win depended on his strategy and how much strength he would reserve for the next round or even the next one. I have a feeling that he will try to end the battle quickly. He will most likely finish it in 3 to 5 moves. Kai Zongming didn't mind his bad friend's attitude at all. He just laughed to himself and said, don't you think that the martial arts that those people from Southern University are good at fits a sentence? The eyes of an eagle, the speed of a leopard, and the strength of a bear. After he finished speaking, he found that Lu Qing looked confused. Obviously, he didn't get the joke. You haven't seen that cartoon? Kai Zongming sneered. Lu Qing turned his head to look at Yenjika, only to see that she was also at a loss. She shook her head blankly, indicating that she didn't know what the joke was either. Maybe it's an old anime. She looked up and made a judgment. Understood. Lu Qing nodded solemnly and turned to reply to Kai Zongming. Uncle, I'm sorry. We're too young to watch such an old anime. F***ck. Little Ming almost choked on his words. Their relaxed attitude affected Li Mao, Wang Dali, and the others. They recovered from the shock of Lin Xiaoji's tremor force. That's right, what's so great about tremor energy? Both of our leading members of the martial arts club know how to use it. At this moment, the referee waved his right hand, and his voice suppressed the rolling waves. Second round, start. The word, start, was still echoing. Lin Ke suddenly withdrew and expanded his chi, and directly broke out the dance stage. Bang! The place where he stood seemed to explode, and countless fragments flew out. He grew taller and fiercely pounced on Lin Xiaoji. With just one pounce, the several meters between them disappeared. Lin Xiaoji was just thinking about it when she saw a figure like a meteor falling from the sky, like a god descending on earth, rushing at her with the momentum of Mount Tai. So fast. So fierce. So direct. In a split second, she didn't panic and calmly made a judgment. She swung her center of gravity backward, swung her waist and back, and nimbly and quickly retreated a few steps. These few steps were in both form and spirit, like a tall antelope. Her footing was very stable, and her body didn't sway, mixed with some of the heaviness of elephant form. Seeing that she was about to pull away and get out of the predicament just now, Lin Ke suddenly stopped, gathered his chi, and used all his strength to step forward and plow. Boom! The ground under Lin Xiaoji's feet cracked, as if there was a burst of power, lifting her left leg and making her lose her center of gravity. The 16th move of the fighting sect, earth cracking. This. Lin Xiaoji was a little shocked and a little flustered. Her spine moved up and down, and she tried to forcibly stabilize her body. Lin Ke seized the opportunity and rushed in front of her. He visualized the scene of a meteor crossing the sky, bulging his temples, and quickly swinging his right arm in a small range, and blasted out a punch like lightning. Lin Xiaoji hurriedly parried and barely used the blast punch, shaking a little bit to meet the attack. Bang! She only felt that she was smashed by a meteor in front of her, and was directly hit by the blast wave that turned into wind and waves. Her chi and blood were tumbling, making her want to vomit, and her 5 viscera and 6 bowels were moving out of their positions in horror. A sound came from her abdomen, like a low and continuous explosion. Lin Ke's right hand moved back, and the left side of his body leaned forward. He quickly swung his arm again, outlining the visualization scene, and blasted out a punch. Lin Xiaoji had just used the internal training method to relieve the shock, and now she had to face the continuous attack. She put her hands on her lower abdomen, clenched her palms, opened her 5 fingers, and used the eagle claw to fight against the meteor force. Bang! Her mind was buzzing, and her muscles and tendons were trembling. She was stunned for a moment, and her 5 fingers were unable to hold Lin Ke's fist. It directly pressed against her abdomen and stopped there. The referee stood up straight and announced loudly, "The second round, Lin Ke wins." In the blink of an eye, the winner had been decided. The students of Southern University either opened their eyes wide, covered their mouths, or were stunned. The noise in the stadium suddenly disappeared. Just like before, they knew that Lin Xiaoji couldn't beat Lin Ke and would most likely lose. But they didn't expect that she would lose so easily and without any resistance. The top professional 9th pin fighter who defeated Sun Jian so quickly seemed to have lost her kung fu in an instant. Lin Xiaoji forced herself to do the internal training method to recover. She resisted the urge to vomit, looked at Lin Ke in horror, turned around and walked out of the arena, still thinking about the scene just now. I lost. I lost just like that. She thought that she was comparable to Lu Cheng when he fought Wei Xingtian and could barely resist Lin Ke's double explosion. She expected to exhaust him about 3 force concentrations and complete more exchanges to lay the best foundation for Jean Dali later. But who knew that she couldn't even hold on for a minute? Is this the strength of a talented dance stage fighter? Is this the strength of absolute strength? She had just walked down the stone steps when she saw the hippie-looking Jean Dali in front of her. She quickly gathered her energy and said, "Xiao Jin, he used double explosion. It must be a big burden for him. Fight well and exhaust him to the limit." Okay. Jean Dali put away his usual cynicism and rushed to the arena in order to seize the time. Lin Xiaoji closed her eyes and retched. She walked back to the home team seats with trembling legs. If Xiao Jin exhausts Lin Ke and allows the team leader to fight Lu Cheng in his best condition, we have at least a 50% chance of winning. Team leader. Suddenly, fear appeared in her eyes. Regardless of her body condition, she ran and jumped back to the arena. She spread her hands to the match supervisor and said with a shy smile, "Senior, my things. Don't believe these things. It's useless." The match supervisor was an old senior. He kindly reminded her. Lin Xiaoji blinked and said with a sad and angry smile, "Senior, you don't understand." In the away team seats, Kai Zhongming looked around complacently. "I told you, Lin K needs to finish quickly. 3 to 5 moves." Lu Qing, Yenjika, and the others didn't respond to him. They just whispered to each other, feeling happy and relaxed. Lin K's performance is strong enough. We can rest assured. At this time, the students in the stands slowly recovered and regained their morale. They shouted Jean Dali's name and cheered for him. Hearing the waves of encouragement, Jean Dali's body trembled slightly. He was in the most excited state. He seized the last bit of time he had and quickly reconsidered his strategy. Lin K had insta-killed Sister Xiaoji with a double explosion and a miraculous move, so he must have taken quite a toll on himself. In this round, he would most likely play it safe and try to take me down without paying too much of a price, so that he could exhaust Captain even more. In this case, Just as he was thinking about this, the referee looked at Lin K, who was breathing quickly, and raised his right hand without showing any favoritism. Round 3, start. Jean Dali immediately calmed down and was about to use the crane steps and the tiger form to attack first, followed by the eagle claw and the crocodile bite. Suddenly, he saw Lin K hugging and exploding, spewing out Dan Qi again. Is he here again? Isn't he holding back a little? Lin K transformed into a heavy truck and flew to Jean Dali in 2 steps. He arrived almost at the same time as the wind, as if he was preparing for some terrifying follow-up. Jean Dali had plenty of battle experience. He was quick-witted and didn't retreat like an antelope with horns hanging on its head. Instead, he suddenly stretched his body and stood up like a giant bear. He expanded his muscles and turned sideways. Instead of retreating, he took a step forward and crashed into Lin Quebec, bear form. Giant bear hits the tree. Bam! Jean Dali, who had turned into a giant bear, was sent flying. He staggered and hurriedly tried to regain his balance. Lin K didn't manage to execute his follow-up moves. Suddenly, his eyes sharpened and he made another, force concentration, without holding back. Bam! His cannon was fired and he was in front of Jean Dali in an instant. Then he stomped his feet and braked forcefully. Amidst the violent friction, he swung his right arm, leaving afterimages behind. Fighting Sect, 27th move, Meteor Burst. Boom! Jean Dali, who had just regained his balance, felt a bomb explode in front of him. A violent shockwave came roaring, almost enough to blow him away and tear his flesh. He didn't have time to think. He took advantage of the momentum and rolled to the ground to avoid the blast. Lin K had made the second double explosion. He must be under a lot of pressure and needs to take a break. I'll have a chance to do a carp flip. At this moment, Lin K retracted his chi and blood, force, and spirit with a deep look in his eyes. Triple explosion. Triple explosion. His eyes lit up and he blurted out. Bam! With the eruption of his Dan Qi, Lin K slid forward, leaving a shocking trail on the ground. He rushed to Jean Dali's side before Jean Dali could jump up. He kicked out his right foot and stopped near Jean Dali's temple. Round 3, Lin K wins. The referee's voice made the whole arena silent. Mu Yu stood up, took a deep breath, and untied a strange Taoist amulet from his neck. Chapter 316. Round 3, Lin K wins. The referee's voice reverberated in every corner of the Shannon University martial arts arena, rolling into the ears of every student. Their reinvigorated morale suddenly collapsed, and their mouths were wide open in shock. Isn't this too awesome? Isn't Lin K too awesome? The two leading members of the martial arts club together couldn't even last a minute against him. Everyone was stunned by Lin K's unstoppable momentum. They subconsciously turned their eyes to the last pillar of support, the coach and leader of the martial arts club of their school, the Bain Mu Yu. In such an atmosphere, a clear girl's voice suddenly rang out. She was shouting madly, "Lin K! Lin K!" In the silence, Mu Jinyan, who was waving her hands excitedly, was so outstanding that she attracted the attention of the surrounding people, as if she had become a public enemy. This scared Yan Xiaoling, who was next to her, and once again turned into a quail. She trembled and pulled her, Jin, calm down. Calm down. I'm also very happy and excited that Lin K won, but here are all their people. Yan Xiaoling silently counted the strength of the two sides. Including herself, there were only 6 people in the martial arts club, but there were more than 6,000 Shannon University supporters in the arena. Just a spit from each of them could drown me. I'm definitely not mocking myself for being short. After being pulled by Yan Xiaoling a few times, Mu Jinyan calms down a little and stops shouting. However, looking at Mu Jinyan's flushed face, bright eyes and eager posture, Yan Xiaoling is full of worry. She says in the live broadcast post of the forum, thousands of people around are from Shannon University, and the girl next to me is very excited and wants to provoke them. What should I do? I'm waiting online, it's urgent. Ha, pretend you don't know her, and shout, "Old Mu, I love you." It's not difficult for you to do that, considering your immoral nature. Unparalleled Dragon King laughed out loud. Brahman urged, "Call them daddy one by one. Hook your finger at them and shout, 'Come on, if you dare, come and beat me.' Then the girl next to you will be safe." Okamoto's fan said with a sly smile. Pretend you're a quail. A frontline cat reporter, Nyachichi, also knew the story of a quail. How about I send you a fake hat, then they won't recognize you. Naive said vengefully. Because of his thin hair, Yan Xiaoling gave him several nicknames, such as Baldy and Big. Yan Xiaoling looked up and looked away from the phone screen, and murmured, "These unlucky kids." In the guest team seats, Sun Jian was the first to jump up and cheer. Lin K was not careless at all. And he. What kind? Calm. His physical strength improved a lot. He had seriously thought about how to help his brother-in-law improve his physical strength, and had even asked his master for help. But Geezer sure had dismissed him with one sentence. Lin K has his elders. I don't want to make trouble for him. Look at my expression. Yen Jika turned her head and stared at her boyfriend coquettishly. You don't know either. Lu Qing understood her meaning. If I knew, I wouldn't have been so excited and surprised. Yen Jika raised her voice at the end of the sentence, and then she scolded him with her mouth, "Stupid Cheng." She was in a very good mood. She looked around and felt proud. Well, your brother is the kind of person who makes big news without saying anything. Lu Qing made fun of his brother-in-law. Yen Jika rolled her eyes at him and didn't say anything bad about her cousin. She relaxed her body and stretched her posture. I only know that my grandpa and grandma gave him several sets of kung fu to strengthen his physical strength, but it is said that the effect is not very good. Maybe my cousin practiced all of them, and that's why he has improved so much. At this point, the two of them tacitly looked at the ring at the same time. They saw Lin K standing in the same place, taking the opportunity to breathe. Sweat fell from his forehead like rain, dripping down, leaving many marks on the ground. He must have gone through unimaginable hard training to break through the limit. God helps those who help themselves. Ching, how many more dance stage outbursts do you think my brother can make? Yen Jika asked with expectation and worry. Lu Qing thought for a while and said, It's too far away, so I can't see clearly. I might not be able to make an accurate judgment. Just listen and see. I think your brother can only do one more force concentration. But even without the burst of Dan's stage, your brother is still stronger than a top-notch professional 9th pin fighter. Even if he consumes too much energy and his physical condition deteriorates, he can still fight. In other words, if his opponent was a professional 9th pin fighter, Lin Ke would have a chance to win. What a pity. Yen Jika understood her boyfriend's unspoken words and sighed softly. What a pity that his opponent was a strong supernatural ability user. At this time, the mature-looking Mu Yu had come to the stone steps and handed his belongings to the competition supervisor. He had already thrown the strange Taoist amulet into Lin Xiaoji's hand. This wasn't some mystical artifact, it was just a shackle on his mind. The backlash of his supernatural ability would randomly make his friends and family suffer for 3 days. Of course, he couldn't use it with peace of mind. Unless it was necessary, he would only use his martial arts. Because of this, he couldn't pass the ranking event of professional 8th pin, even if he had defeated more than one professional 8th pin fighter in the Dan stage. This time, the loser would be ranked 2nd and would most likely face Shan Bei in the quarterfinals. It was a battle of life and death. Xiao Xiao, Xiao Jin, and the rest had hinted that they were prepared to be unlucky. How could he bear to let them down? How could he disappoint everyone who had come to the martial arts arena together? Unshackle and go all out. From now on, I am Mu Yu, the Bane. Stepping into the arena, he stood at the position where Lin Xiaoji and Jean Dali had started. Lin Ke also returned to the opposite side. The referee looked at Mu Yu with a solemn expression. He puffed up his chest and shouted, "Round 4, start." Mu Yu curled his toes and the 2 muscles on his back flapped. He nimbly bypassed Lin Ke and chose to fight in a guerrilla style. This time, Lin Ke didn't attack with his Dan Qi at the beginning. If it was said that after defeating Jean Dali, his entire body seemed to be overflowing with flames, exuding a vigorous fighting spirit, and displaying the joy and thirst of victory, then now, all of this was restrained, and he was as calm as water, as steady as the ground. Lin Ke swayed his center of gravity and stepped on Yu's steps. He was faster and more agile than Mu Yu, closing the distance between them. Just as he was about to enter the attacking range, his right foot suddenly missed as if he had stepped on a trap. Crack! He lost his balance and his right foot sank into the ground. This green brick was the one he had stepped on when he was running to perform the meteor blast. That Dan stage movement required the explosion to be gathered in an instant to produce the effect of a small bomb. Therefore, he used Yin force to step on it. It didn't break the ground but softened the cornerstone. Now that he stepped on it, of course, it was empty. Moreover, the arena was so large. To be able to just happen to step on one of these pieces, and even step on it, that was a matter of extremely small probability. What an unlucky encounter. Lin Ke's body tilted and Mu Yu immediately leaned on him. He moved to the side with the crane steps and visualized a tiger roaring in the forest. He raised his right hand and fiercely chopped down. This degree of loss of center of gravity was a problem for a professional 9th pin, but it wasn't too serious for a Dan stage mighty ones. Lin Ke's muscles expanded and his fascia stretched. He quickly regained his center of gravity and stabilized his body. He raised his left arm and was ready to counterattack with half a block and half a swing. But just as he was about to exert his strength, his arm muscles suddenly twitched and showed signs of strain. Under normal circumstances, it was inevitable for martial artists to have such injuries. However, they would only encounter such injuries when they were relatively exhausted. Especially for Dan stage martial artists, they had extremely strong control over their bodies. Under normal circumstances, how could they injure themselves by exerting force? Lin Ke's physical condition had deteriorated a lot and he was close to his limit. But as a Dan Qi level mighty ones, all the forces in his body were united as one. Without other factors, it was impossible for him to show signs of strain at this time. However, this extremely small probability of happening had unfortunately happened. Of course, if his physical condition was good, such a small probability would be close to 0, and he wouldn't have suffered such an inexplicable injury. That was why Lin Xiaoji believed that the more tired the enemy was, the easier it was for her captain to win. At this critical moment, if Lin Ke forced himself to parry, not only would his stance be broken by Mu Yu due to insufficient strength, but he would also cause the strain to become a symptom of strain. Therefore, he pondered deeply and took a deep breath to let his qi and blood flow back, so that all the forces in his body were united as one. Boom! Dan qi gushed out. Lin Ke's left arm first stagnated, then expanded and swung back. There were no more signs of strain. Bam! Mu Yu's tiger hug downward chop couldn't resist the counterpunch of Lin Ke's force concentration. He couldn't help but take a few steps back, each step leaving a footprint of varying depths. Lin Ke's eyes were cold as ice. He hurried forward, wanting to seize this opportunity to perform 24 blizzard strikes. Suddenly, his feet slipped again, and his body tilted forward. This was where his and Jean Dolly's sweat had stained. How unlucky he was to step on it. Mu Yu exerted strength in his arched feet, and like a red-crowned crane, he quickly circled to Lin Ke's back. Taking advantage of the moment when Lin Ke was close to his limit and couldn't pull back his center of gravity, Mu Yu transformed into a giant bear and leaned against Lin Ke's back. Bam! Lin Ke staggered and rushed out of the arena. He barely managed to stand and didn't fall. The referee withdrew his hand and raised it high, announcing, Round 4, Mu Yu wins. Seeing that the great Demon King, who had silenced the entire audience just now, was defeated by Old Man Mu in just a few moves, the students in the stands cheered and jumped for joy. They erupted with a momentum that was comparable to the beginning of the match, praising their Lord General with shouts. Mu Yu! Mu Yu! Jinx! Jinx! What a troublesome supernatural ability! Lu Qing thought. He took a deep breath, stood up, and took off his jacket. Yan Zhika, who was beside him, looked worried. She blurted out, Cheng. She wanted to remind her boyfriend to be careful, but when the words came to her mouth, she felt that it would be too much of a jinx. She was stuck and didn't know what to say. What's wrong? Lu Qing turned to look at Yan Zhika. Yan Zhika smiled and waved his fists, saying, Go for it. Chapter 317. Lu Qing smiled and bumped Yan Zhika's hand with his fist. He said in a low voice, It's all thanks to Coach Yan's brilliance. Although misfortune was a strange and troublesome supernatural ability, it was not invincible. Especially since Old Man Mu had limited strength and the arena was simple. As long as Lu Qing paid more attention to the situation and fought cautiously, he would not be too unlucky. His advantage in strength was enough to offset everything. Come on, I'll lend you everything, Yan Zhika answered in a low voice, her eyes sparkling and her pink lips opening and closing. Then she took the initiative to bump Lu Qing's fist. Lu Qing put his coat on the seat and high-fived his teammates one by one. Victory! Li Mao, Sun Jian, and the others yelled out worriedly. Although they were confident in Lu Qing's strength, Lin Ke's loss was too strange. They could not help but feel nervous when they thought of Old Man Mu's previous victories. The lucky ones were similar, but the unlucky ones were all different. Lu Qing smiled faintly, waved his fist, and replied firmly, Victory. Seeing Lin Ke off the stage, Lin Xiaoji jumped up from the seats of the home team, the rosary beads in her hand and the cross in her palm shaking. Captain is awesome. She tied her hair into a high ponytail again and her eyes were full of joy. He didn't let me down. Jean Dolly also waved his fist excitedly and asked for approval, Captain, you didn't consume much energy, right? He just blocked Lin Ke's dance stage explosion and didn't even take it head-on. Yes, it's a one-on-one fight with Lu Qing. Lin Xiaoji nodded her ponytail. Misfortune is really a magical supernatural ability. Thinking of this, she lowered her head and checked again to see if she had forgotten or brought the wrong amulet. Pain and happiness. In the stands, Mu Jinyan, who was shouting excitedly, became gloomy. He pouted and stamped his feet. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Isn't this cheating? Why don't you use your supernatural ability? Let's have a martial arts competition with our Lin Ke. What an embarrassing loss. While Mu Jinyan was mumbling unreasonably, Yan Xiaoling was already nervous. Various scenes of Lu Cheng's misfortune flashed in her mind. It's time to go on the stage. Quick, everyone treat yourselves as lucky stars. She called out in the live post. I'll be the head. Unparalleled Dragon King made a joke. Uncle, what do you mean? I don't understand. Yan Xiaoling replied with a confused expression. And the mood of the audience around her had recovered from the abyss. They became excited again and were full of imagination about the result of the competition. Both sides were down to the last contestant, so why couldn't they hope for victory? Although Lu Cheng was a very powerful martial artist, any kind of accident could happen in a one-on-one fight. The Bane's bad luck increased the probability of these accidents happening. Old Man Mu wasn't good at creating miracles, but he was good at dragging his opponents down to his level. Our chances of winning are slim, but what if? Who knows? The audience exhaled one by one, creating a rolling and reverberating wave. Beat him! Beat him! Beat him! Beat him! Lu Cheng ignored the waves of cheers, each louder than the last, and steadily walked along the road towards the arena, meeting up with Lin Ke halfway. There was no look of pain on Lin Ke's face. His eyes were deep, and no one knew what he was thinking. He just habitually raised his hand and bumped fists with Lu Cheng. Hey, this isn't the brother-in-law I know. With his perverted desire for victory, shouldn't he be upset now? Lu Cheng was a little surprised. But in the blink of an eye, he was relieved of this doubt. Putting himself in the other's shoes, if it were him, after inexplicably losing a match, the most important psychological activity would definitely not be pain, but thinking about why he lost, where he lost, and what he should do next time to avoid the same mistake. Brother-in-law should be at this stage. When the two were about to pass each other, Lin Ke suddenly opened his mouth and said, "Be careful, no problem." Sure enough. Lu Cheng confirmed his speculation and smiled happily. Don't worry. While speaking, he passed by Lin Ke and strode to the stone steps. His momentum was accumulating little by little, like a storm sweeping over. Mu Yu suddenly had the illusion that the temperature in the arena had dropped a lot and subconsciously shivered. When Lu Cheng stood in front of him, his momentum was like a rainbow, as deep as the sea. Without making a move, he could weaken the opponent's fighting spirit and affect their judgment. The referee looked around, raised his right hand again, and spat out the force in his dantian. Round 5, start. Lu Cheng didn't want to attack first. Instead, he was cautious. He looked around and listened carefully, taking in the situation of the arena and his own body. He waited calmly to avoid any accidents. Mu Yu unleashed his supernatural ability without holding back. With the crane step, he leaped and circled towards his opponent. Suddenly, his right foot fell into the ground, and his body fell forward involuntarily. The yin force under Lin Ke's feet stepped on more than one soft spot. Lu Cheng wasn't unlucky, but Mu Yu tasted the trap that Lin Ke tasted. Crack! His right foot fell into the air, and his body fell forward. Seeing that he was about to kneel down to Lu Cheng, he quickly straightened his spine and exerted the force in his muscles to pull back his center of gravity. This pull was too forceful. Instead of falling forward, Mu Yu leaned back and took 2 steps back. Whoosh! In a panic, he didn't pay attention to his feet and stepped on the slippery mark left by Lin Ke when he slid and kicked Jean Dolly. Mu Yu slid back with his left foot and did a split. Then, he heard the sound of cloth tearing. It was so pleasant and so thrilling. Rip! Mu Yu's crotch was torn, and a red color was exposed. Lu Cheng stood there, dumbfounded. The situation was so weird that he didn't dare to attack for fear of falling into a trap. What happened? Lu Cheng was at a loss. In the midst of the chaos, Muyu steadied himself and caught sight of his boxers from the corner of his eye. His face instantly flushed with the same color as a few thoughts flashed through his mind. How did this happen? Did I finally reach my limit after wearing this martial arts suit for half a year? What was the reason for the series of accidents? How did this happen? Lin Xiaoji held the cross and stared blankly at the arena. She didn't understand what had happened. The unlucky one was not Lu Cheng, but Captain. She glanced at Mu Yu's bright red boxers shyly, and an idea popped up in her mind. Well, Captain also believed in metaphysics. How did this happen? Jean Dali rubbed his eyes, suspecting that he had been knocked out by Lin Ke and was now dreaming. How did this happen? Yen Jika opened her eyes wide and her mouth almost formed an O shape. It was rare for her to lose her composure. Qing didn't get unlucky, but the Bane got unlucky himself. Was there really such a thing as the human glory? How did this happen? Kai Zhongming touched his chin and suddenly punched Li Mao. What? Li Mao came back to his senses and looked at him sideways. I'm not dreaming. Kai Zhongming said with a smile. Don't you think it's weird? It's weird. Did the Bane's counterattack come early? But isn't his counterattack always aimed at others? Li Mao forgot about the punch just now. How did this happen? Lin Ke frowned and felt confused. Beside him, Geezer Shi snorted and nodded thoughtfully. How did this happen? The spectators in the stands were all dumbfounded. They suspected that this was a masquerade and that the one wearing the Lu Qing mask was Captain Mu Yu, while the unlucky old man Mu was actually Lu Cheng. They had time to be surprised, but Mu Yu couldn't. If Lu Cheng got close to him while he was in a split, he wouldn't be able to withstand more than 2 moves. Thoughts flashed in his mind and he quickly made a decision. He lay down and rolled to the side, hiding the killer move of the silent kick. Lu Cheng watched and didn't attack blindly. He didn't know what was going on and whether he would be affected. Of course, he had to be cautious. While rolling, Mu Yu was relieved that his opponent didn't seize the opportunity to attack. He exerted strength in his waist and abdomen and was about to stand up and take a stance again. But at this moment, a few round pieces of stone that he had brought with him from his roll stopped right where he had landed. Whoosh! Mu Yu slipped again. Before he could straighten his body, he leaned back again and fell on his back. It was a heavy fall and he felt a little dizzy. He hurriedly rolled again to avoid the opponent's attack. Lu Cheng watched Mu Yu's performance with twitching mouth. He almost forgot that he was still in the arena. What is he going to do? Mu Yu rolled a few times and suddenly lost his touch. He realized that he was already at the edge of the ring. Half of his body was outside the ring and he was falling in midair. He was shocked. He stretched out his hand and tried to catch the arena. But for some reason, he was still half a beat too late. He only touched the edge of the arena with his fingertips. Thump! Mu Yu fell to the ground beside the ring. His eyes were blank and lifeless. He wasn't the only one who was in a daze. Lu Cheng opened his mouth slightly and almost blurted out, F***ck. I haven't even made a move. How did I win? Not only that, I haven't even moved since the start of the match. The referee was stunned for more than 10 seconds. He looked at Lu Cheng in confusion and raised his right hand. Round 5, Lu Cheng wins. The final result, Songqing University Martial Arts Club wins. Clang! The cross in Lin Xiaoji's hand fell to the ground. She muttered to herself in horror, this metaphysics is wrong. Well, it's not metaphysics if you can understand it. God, did you get the wrong script? Jean Dali blurted out as if he was sleep-talking. The audience in the stands looked at each other in confusion. For the time being, they didn't feel the depression or pain of defeat. We might be watching a fake match. This should be an incredible event on campus, right? The Bane, who was famous for making his opponent unlucky, defeated himself without even a single fight. In the away team seats, Kai Zhongming opened his mouth and said, "This is the strangest match I've ever seen, so far." Chapter 318. In the stands, Yan Xiaoling, who was holding her phone to record the match, opened her mouth wide in shock. Originally, she was worried that she would be unable to stop herself from shouting and waving her arms when she saw the intense part of the battle. She was worried that she would accidentally throw her phone away. Who would have thought that the development of this battle would be so outrageous that she was completely dumbstruck? She didn't cheer or get excited. Instead, she turned off the camera and posted the video to the forum with a title that best expressed her feelings. "I might have met a ghost." Quickly scrolling the progress bar, Unparalleled Dragon King finished watching the match in less than a minute. He sent an emoji scratching the back of its head and said, "Damn, what is Muyu doing? Lu Qing won just like that. Is Muyu suffering from the backlash of his supernatural ability?" Road to the arena wandered over to them again. "Ha ha ha, I got it. It's so funny. My stomach hurts from laughing." Nye Chi sent an emoji. "I watched it twice. Each time I watched it, I laughed like crazy. How is this a martial arts competition? It's obviously a comedy show." Okamoto's fan sent an emoji of crying tears of laughter. "Hands up. Didn't you say that the backlash of Mu Yu's supernatural ability would only affect the people around him and not himself?" Brahman laughed through her tears and looked confused at the same time. Unparalleled Dragon King sent an emoji of laughter and said, "Mu Yu is blessed by God. He used his supernatural ability, Misfortune, on Lin Ke and Lu Cheng. It's normal for him to suffer from the backlash." "No problem, that's it." "I see. Then I can laugh without worry." Brahman sent an extremely large emoji of ha. But he didn't suffer from the backlash when he fought Peng Liyun last year. Wonton Seller had been waiting to watch the video during her break in senior high school. "No problem. Last year, Muyu fought Su Wanyan with Misfortune and Crow's Mouth. He barely won after both of them were injured. When he fought Peng Liyun, he was already at the end of his rope. I guess he couldn't use his supernatural ability anymore." Unparalleled Dragon King was very familiar with the scene. He was indeed a human-shaped database. Of course, it's also possible that Lu Cheng has the talent to restrain this supernatural ability. Oh, Eternal Nightfall, can I post this video on Weibo? It's so fun, I want more people to see it. Rolling on the ground laughing expression, "All the good names are taken by dogs," said Fa. A smile gradually appeared on Yan Xiaoling's face as she slowly recovered. "All the good names have been taken by dogs," immediately posted a Weibo post with the video as the theme and the caption, "What an amazing match. Lu Cheng, who won by lying down, versus Mu Yu, who defeated himself." Finally, she tagged a few of her friends on Weibo. Among them, a female ID named Stupid Winter, with an ID of Laughing to Tears, said, "Ha, what a professional performance. There was not a single flaw. He was using his life to put on a show." At Oscar-winning actor, in the martial arts arena of Shanbei University, Fang Zhirong had completely suppressed his opponent. Su Wanyan and Peng Liyun were sitting side by side. They were not interested in this game. They even suspected that they had no chance to play. As the president of the martial arts club, he had to pay attention to his image in front of his classmates. Otherwise, he would have taken out his phone and searched for the match between Lu Cheng and Mu Yu. Could his Taste of the Starry Sky really restrain this supernatural ability? Last November, when he played a trick on him with his Corvine mouth, he suffered a backlash. But he had to wait for confirmation. While he was thinking, a mobile phone suddenly appeared in front of him. "Hey, junior brother Peng, what's wrong?" Su Wanyan turned to look at Peng Liyun. Peng Liyun smiled and said with a hint of evil interest, "Just watch and you'll know." When he was not in a daze, he was actually a nice person to get along with. "Watch?" Su Wanyan looked down and found that the screen was showing the video of his fight with Mu Yu. He held his breath and reached out his right hand to click the play button. What the F***CK. F***CK. As the progress bar rolled, Su Wanyan's expression changed again and again. When the video ended, he was stunned until the referee announced Fang Zhirong's victory. Junior brother Peng, if I meet Lu Cheng. He turned his head to Peng Liyun and said with a sad face, can I just admit defeat? Peng Liyun chuckled, what do you think? Hiss. Su Wanyan gasped, I'm afraid I can't control my mouth. How about this? You guys find a piece of tape and stick it on my mouth. Beside the arena, Mu Yu, who was in a daze, finally came back to reality. There was no depression or pain, only confusion and confusion. He carefully got up and glanced at Lu Cheng. Then he slowly walked back to the home team seats, afraid that the ground would collapse and create a crater. Captain, what's going on? Lin Xiaoji cautiously approached him upon seeing the situation. Mu Yu thought for a while and said, my supernatural ability backfired. This was certain, but he wasn't sure why his supernatural ability backfired. How could this happen? Lin Xiaoji frowned and suddenly nodded, I get it. Because Lu Cheng is tough. Curses and misfortune are ineffective, and things that don't succeed will definitely backfire. What kind of theory is that? Mu Yu blurted out in surprise. Lin Xiaoji answered seriously, metaphysics theory. Mu Yu was stunned for a while and then said, I suspect that Lu Cheng has a third supernatural ability that can restrain or even backfire curses and misfortune. It's possible. Jean Dolly rushed to Lin Xiaoji's side. Seeing the two leading players and the rest of the substitutes surrounding them, Mu Yu finally got out of his previous mood and apologized with guilt and depression, I'm sorry, I can't lead you to the national final this year. All the students who dare to join the martial arts club are true love. The atmosphere suddenly became heavy. Lin Xiaoji's eyes reddened. She took a breath and pretended to be heartless, Captain, we still have the year after next. What are you afraid of? We still have a chance. Why not next year? Jean Dolly asked blankly. Isn't it obvious? Next year, Peng Liyun will be in his senior year, Lu Cheng and Lin Ke will have matured for another year, and Shan Bei and Song will be so strong that it's hopeless. How can we have a chance? The year after next, when Peng Liyun graduates, Lu Cheng and Lin Ke will be strong again, but at least we still have a chance to compete for another place. Lin Xiaoji was just making things up, but as she spoke, she revealed her true feelings. We also want to participate in the national final once. We have to have something to aspire to in our 4 years of university. The problem is, I'm already in my junior year and will graduate the year after next. Mu Yu interrupted blankly. Lin Xiaoji rolled her eyes and laughed, Captain, you can't abandon us. Without your misfortune, how can we make it to the national final? How about this? You can apply to delay your graduation. Anyway, you've failed several courses and may not have enough credits. Like other first-class universities, Shannon implemented a credit system. One course was worth 1 to 4 credits. Students were allowed to finish their undergraduate studies in advance. If they didn't have enough credits, they could apply to delay their graduation by 1 or 2 years. Speaking of this, Lin Xiaoji felt sad and angry. She had always done well in her studies, but twice, her captain had used his supernatural power of misfortune, which made her even more unlucky. Just as she was reinvigorating the atmosphere, voices suddenly sounded from the stands. They started weak and became louder, and eventually merged into a chorus of shouts, together through thick and thin. Together through thick and thin. Together through thick and thin. Mu Yu and Lin Xiaoji were stunned. They instinctively looked around, but soon their vision was blurred by the banners. In the sound of "Together Through Thick and Thin," Lu Cheng returned to the seats of the away team. The first thing he saw was Xu Rui and the shooting team, who were recording the details. He waved his hand in a friendly manner and was about to say hello when he saw Xu Rui's face turn pale. She took a few steps back, as if she was afraid of being contaminated. The rest of the shooting team also stepped back, leaving only the cameraman standing there awkwardly. Cheng, you're a god. You won the game without moving your hands, feet, or body. At this time, Kai Zongming gave him a thumbs up to ease the awkwardness. I was quite confused. Lu Cheng walked over with a smile. Kai Zongming quietly took a few steps back and distanced himself from Lu Cheng again. Why are you hiding? Lu Cheng asked in amusement. He saw Yan Zhike looking at him with both joy and surprise. He already understood that those guys were afraid of being contaminated with misfortune like Mu Yu. Hee hee. Kai Zongming smiled without saying anything and shrank to Lin Kei's side. Are you still a friend? Lu Cheng helplessly stared at Talker. Not really. Little Ming answered without any sense of shame. Lu Cheng was so angry that he almost laughed. He was touched to see his little fairy standing beside him fearlessly. This is true love. At this time, he heard his master's voice. The relic of Longhu Immortal that you got can probably reflect supernatural powers like the crow's mouth of misfortune. This sentence was like a flash of lightning that illuminated the fog in Lu Cheng's mind. He suddenly understood what was going on. When he was asleep, the Jin Dan could foresee the approaching danger. When it was balancing itself into the Dan, it incorporated a little of this supernatural power into it. This is the third supernatural power I've awakened, right? Of course, most of the power is provided by the Jin Dan for the time being. What should I call the supernatural powers of tough life and premonition? Son of Heaven. Lucky Star. While thinking, Lu Cheng subconsciously looked at Li Mao, Kai Zongming, and the rest of his teammates. He found that they were still wearing the same expression as before. They had no reaction to his master's words. This is a powerful move. While Lu Cheng was sighing with emotion, Yan Zhike stood on her tiptoes and whispered in his ear, Cheng, did you feel anything strange just now? Lu Cheng explained with a smile, I've awakened my third supernatural power. It reflected Mu Yu's misfortune and caused a backlash. Well, I should say that this supernatural power has been awakened for a long time. I just didn't notice it and didn't know what it was. He told Coach Yen about his encounter with the thief at the train station in a low voice. I see. Yan Zhike's eyes lit up with relief and surprise. Then she snorted, that's so annoying. I thought it was the effect of my luck. I thought I had awakened a supernatural power of good luck. Look, Mu Yu's backlash is so severe. It must be because of your luck. Lu Cheng flattered her and suddenly thought of a question, Cuckoo, you're not afraid of getting misfortune and took the initiative to welcome me. Is it because you trust me, or because you think your luck is invincible and you don't need to worry about it? Hee hee. Yan Zhike answered with a laugh. After the greeting, Mu Yu, Lin Xiaoji, and the rest returned to the locker room. Since the captain had suffered a backlash, Lin Xiaoji was much more relaxed. She took off her shoes and went into the bathroom. She took off the amulets one by one and stuffed them into the closet with her clothes. Under the hot water, every cell in her body was screaming for comfort. After applying the shampoo, Lin Xiaoji enjoyed the bath. Just then, she saw the light above her flicker a few times and make a buzzing sound. After a short struggle, it finally went out completely. Immediately after, Lin Xiaoji felt that the hot water on her body turned into a bone-piercing cold rain. This. She turned to look at the closet and felt that the cute amulets were so far away. Chapter 319. The atmosphere in the Shannon University Martial Arts Club was warm but not violent. Lu Cheng and the others didn't leave in a hurry like they did when they were escaping from Yimo. Instead, they leisurely celebrated in the locker room for a while, rested for a while, and then slowly packed up their belongings and came out. At this time, the crowd in the gym had dispersed, leaving only a few students lingering around to exercise. Once they saw Lu Cheng, their expressions changed and they scattered like birds and beasts, as if they had seen the arrival of the Demon King. Even Mu Yu, the Bane, was unlucky in front of him, let alone ordinary people like us. Witnessing this scene, Kai Zhongming and the others, who already knew that Lu Cheng relied on the rebound of his third supernatural ability, couldn't help but laugh out loud. They all looked at the legendary protagonist with ridicule. Lu Cheng held Yan Zhika with one hand and covered his face with the other. He sighed and said, "I feel like a big villain boss." Needless to say, this was inexplicably satisfying. After a long journey, it was already 8:00 when the Songqing University Martial Arts Club members returned to school. Thus, they went back to their respective homes and mothers, taking advantage of the weekend to do laundry, tidy up, and busy themselves with housework. The next day, it was the same cycle of morning exercises and special training. In the afternoon, Lu Cheng accompanied Yan Zhika to the first teaching building, intending to find a classroom with fewer people to study by themselves. He slung 2 school bags over his shoulder and looked at the students coming and going. He chuckled softly and said, "Actually, I quite like the way girls carry a few books to class and study by themselves. It's very artistic. I used to do this a lot, but unfortunately, someone would take the initiative to snatch my things when he saw me carrying them." Yan Zhika pursed her lips and turned to look at him with a smile. "I thought it would be troublesome for someone to carry 2 stacks of books, so I put them in the bag. Otherwise, a burly man carrying a few books, that image, ha." As she spoke, she couldn't continue laughing. Lu Cheng's lips curled and hummed in agreement, "That image is too beautiful, I don't dare to look at it. But, I don't think I'm burly, I'm more well-proportioned." While talking and laughing, they stepped into the teaching building. Instead of taking the elevator, they went to the 3rd floor to find a suitable place for self-study. After circling around, they finally locked onto their target. They entered a classroom with only a dozen or so people sitting around. They directly chose 2 seats in the last row by the window. There are still so many people studying on Sunday afternoon. The atmosphere in our school is pretty good. Lu Cheng recalled the scenes of the other classrooms he had seen before and couldn't help but sigh with emotion in a low voice. "But every time I go back to the dormitory, I see little Ming and Godren not studying. I feel that our generation of college students is really decadent." Godly Man was none other than Tang Wen. Due to his addiction to games, he had forgotten the date of the exam and failed the original questions of the makeup exam. Talker had given him the nickname, Godly Man, which was recognized by everyone in the dormitory. Yan Zhika took the school bag and stopped her hand in the opening position. She chuckled and said, "This reminds me of a sentence that our marketing teacher often said. The results of a survey only depend on the choice of sample. For example, if you want to praise a university's study style, you should focus on the students studying in the teaching building and the library. If you want to criticize, you should go to the dormitory, the lakeside, or the martial arts arena." She controlled the volume of her voice so as not to disturb the other students' self-study. Of course, with her and Lu Cheng's current good hearing, such a low volume wouldn't affect the conversation at all at such a distance. While talking, Yan Zhika opened the school bag and took out thick books, corresponding references, half-filled notes, a notebook for making drafts, and a stationery bag with a picture of a pink pig. Lu Cheng also took out the textbook of discrete mathematics, detailed examples borrowed from the library, notes for writing key points, a notebook for calculation, a pencil, a pen, and an eraser. They put these on the table almost at the same time. The positions and order were almost the same, as if they were copying each other. After they finished, they looked at each other and smiled tacitly. The sun shone in through the window and the scenery was just right. Just as Lu Cheng was about to turn the page, Yan Zhika suddenly rested her chin on her left hand and looked at him with half of her face. "Cheng, don't you think it's boring?" "What do you mean boring?" Lu Cheng was confused. That's right. Yan Zhika rolled her eyes and bit her teeth. "Every time you have to study with me, you don't have time to go on a date. Do you think this is boring? Other people's relationships probably aren't like ours, right?" "That's it. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. Of course not. After all, I was once addicted to studying. For me, the spiritual satisfaction of solving a difficult problem is no less than fighting in an ordinary challenge tournament. Besides, I have a lot of specialized courses. In order to not fail my course, I have to study more by myself. Isn't this a date? With you, everything is a date. He had lowered his requirements in study, from graduating with honors to graduating without failing a course. After all, it was difficult to have the best of both worlds. A person's energy was limited. Meet, numb. Yenjika scolded, lowered her eyes and chuckled. She lowered her voice again. Actually, I like the way we are now. During self-study, when she occasionally looked up and saw Cheng's face and felt his presence, everything would become so warm and comfortable. Me too. Lu Qing emphasized. Yenjika rolled her eyes and showed her dimples. Really? Do you really like it? Do you like it very much? Yes, I like it very much. Lu Qing said without hesitation. Since you like it very much, we won't go out on a date in the future. I'll study with you when I'm free. Yenjika straightened her body and made the decision happily. Ah. Lu Qing opened his mouth wide. These two things can't be mixed together. Before he finished his words, he saw the girl's eyes were bright, her mouth was pursed, and her lips were curved. It seemed that she was trying very hard to hold back her laughter. I feel like I've been tricked by you again. Lu Qing covered his face and sighed. Hee hee. Yenjika lay down and released her laughter into her arms. Her shoulders were shaking and her hair was hanging lightly. She was very happy. After such a beginning, both of them were in a good mood and the efficiency of self-study seemed to have increased a lot. After reading a chapter on discrete mathematics and doing the corresponding exercises, Lu Qing was satisfied with the solution of the problem and felt a little dizzy, so he decided to take a 10-minute break to relax for a while. This course is really difficult. It is said that the failure rate is very high. Lu Qing stared at the textbook for a few seconds and sighed. Then he turned his head to look at Yenjika and saw that she was calculating something. She looked very focused and her eyes were deep. Sometimes she frowned, sometimes she pouted, sometimes she smiled, and sometimes she pursed her lips. She had an intoxicating beauty. Lu Qing looked at her with a smile. He looked at her long black eyelashes fluttering like a fan. He looked at her lively eyes and her delicate cheeks. What are you looking at? Do what you want to do. Go play with your phone. Yenjika couldn't focus under his gaze. She scolded in a low voice and hit him lightly. Lu Qing smiled and took out his phone. He unlocked the screen and planned to relax by browsing the forum. The first post that caught his eyes was from "All the good names are taken by dogs." Ha, I'm in the headlines. No, the video I reposted has become a hot topic. What video? Lu Qing followed the link in the post and clicked on Weibo. He saw Lu Qing who won by lying down versus Mu Yu who defeated himself. As the video of the competition was extremely funny, it attracted a lot of people to repost it. It actually caused an explosive spread effect. In less than a day, there were already more than 10,000 reposts and nearly 10,000 comments. The number of people who viewed it was even more uncountable. Lu Qing watched it from the perspective of a bystander. He was also very happy and sympathized with Old Man Mu. Ha, I may have played a fake game. He read the comments while laughing. He was waiting for Yenjika to finish the problem so that he could share the most interesting part with her. Good actor. Strong actor. I'm going to laugh with this video this year. Ha, my mom asked me why I was kneeling and looking at the computer. Amazing and perfect. Lu Qing, who was standing in the middle, was dumbfounded. As he read, he found a few IDs with a lot of likes. One was Shannon Mu Yu, one was Old Man Mu, one was Calamity Mu Yu, one was Songqing Lu Cheng, and one was Warrior Lu Cheng. Songqing Lu Cheng said with emotion, I was dumbfounded. This is the first time I've seen such a game. Warrior Lu Cheng accused Songqing Lu Cheng. This is fake. It's a new account. It's obviously fake. You said on Weibo that you were in the capital. So Songqing University has moved to the capital? Songqing Lu Cheng retorted. Motherf **Ker, who is this? I didn't register. Lu Cheng was stunned for a while. He felt like he had met Li Gui. These guys must have changed their names to gain popularity and gain attention. At this moment, Yenjika's phone flashed and a message came in. She just solved the previous problem and felt good. She picked it up and found it was a message from Yen Xiaoling. Senior sister, let Lu Cheng register a Weibo account. Let's support him. There are so many imposters now. That video is popular. It's the video of his fight with Old Man Mu. Yenjika almost didn't understand what she was saying. She reorganized her words and understood what was going on. She turned her head and said, Cheng, do you know about the video on Weibo? The video of your fight with Mu Yu. Yes, I'm watching it. 3 guys are impersonating me and accusing each other. Lu Cheng was so angry that he laughed. The 3 guys were arguing so much that they had tens of thousands of followers. At Shannon University, Lin Xiaoji stood on the balcony and called Mu Yu. Captain, look at Weibo. You're popular. Achoo. Yes, it's not a good thing. Mu Yu was already blushing because of the ridicule. It's a good thing to have attention. Maybe you can become a verified account in the future and make money from this. Achoo, quick, change your literary name to yourself. We'll go and prove that you're real. Lin Xiaoji urged. Damn it. I'm a professional 9th pin with strong qi and blood. How could I catch a cold just by taking a cold shower? The heavens didn't open their eyes. You have to believe in metaphysics. Lu Cheng and Yenjika were in a good mood. They even enjoyed watching the 3 imposters quarrel for a while. Suddenly, Lu Cheng's phone vibrated. He picked it up and lowered his voice. Senior sister. It was Shi Yuejian. Shi Yuejian laughed and said, I saw the video. It's funny. You should register a Weibo account. Don't let others take advantage of your popularity. I have. Lu Cheng answered with his mouth twitching. His previous Weibo account was just for browsing. He didn't post much, and his name was So Chunibu. You have? What's your name? Why didn't I find it? Those look wrong. Shi Yuejian asked. Lu Cheng covered his face and was too embarrassed to speak. Back then, he liked to read fantasy novels, so his Weibo username was Donghuang Tai. Currently, other than the zombie account, there was only one other account that followed him, and that was his little fairy's Weibo username, Sword Don't Drink. Her QQ username had also been changed to Ku. I'll change it right away. I'll text you when it's done. Lu Cheng skipped the first step. Okay, I'll verify it for you. Shi Yuejian hung up the phone. Lu Cheng changed the name from Donghuang Tai to Lu Cheng. After thinking for a while, he added 129. Yenjika murmured as she watched him work. Her dimples appeared on her face and her smile was charming. She felt sweet in her heart. It was her birthday. Hee hee. Lu Cheng smiled and didn't say anything. The change was approved and he sent the name to his senior sister. Before long, Shi Yuejian of Weiyue Club, who had tens of millions of followers, forwarded the Weibo of all the good names are taken by dogs and added a paragraph. It's a very fun game. Lu Cheng 129, my little junior brother. Chapter 320. Shi Yuejian's seemingly ordinary Weibo post immediately caused a sensation. The words, "Yes, my junior brother," shocked many people. They forwarded and commented on it one after another. It's going to be big news. So Lu Cheng is your junior brother, heroine sure. No wonder he could reach 8th pin in 1 year and win the youth tournament of Xing province. He's a strong competitor for the favored son of God. No wonder, Lu Cheng is also a direct disciple of a big sect. Zhang Zhutong and Han Zhifei deserve to lose. Can't you guys have a better attitude? It's not like only the direct disciples of big sects and forces can become the favored son of God. It should be the other way around. The favored son of God must become the direct disciples of big sects and forces. Even if one of them doesn't have eyes, they can't all be blind. The comment above came from Unparalleled Dragon King, of course, the one in Lu Cheng's fan forum. The real Dragon King used his real name on Weibo, Dragon King Chen Qitao. Unparalleled Dragon King's comment made Yi Yaoting, who was browsing the comments, feel ashamed. Just now, when she saw Shi Yuejian's Weibo post, she spontaneously came up with the same idea as some of the comments. No wonder I lost to Lu Cheng. No wonder he can always create miracles and surpass me and all the other mighty ones I know. It's because he has an extraordinary background and is a direct disciple of the Ice God sect. And I just reached Dan's stage recently and successfully joined Xuanwu sect. And I don't have a master of physical invulnerability. When she saw Unparalleled Dragon King's rebuke, she felt that every word was piercing her heart and broke out in cold sweat. My attitude just now was very dangerous. As a fighter, I can't whitewash failure and find excuses. I have to admit defeat but not admit defeat. She looked down and continued reading the reposts and comments. Wow, Lu Cheng is your junior brother. No wonder I always thought highly of him. Junior brother is not bad. I remember he just won the championship, right? That's right. Except for 24 blizzard strikes, Lu Cheng hasn't used many moves of the ice sect before. Well, in that case, it's been almost 4 months since Lu Cheng entered the Dan stage. As the heroine's junior brother, it's impossible that he hasn't practiced some unique skills of the ice sect. Oh my, I'm looking forward to his duel with Peng Liyun and Renli more and more. Heroine, quickly let your little junior brother tell us how he feels. Are you very confused when facing such a high-level actor? Was he laughing like a fool? Lu Cheng swiped his thumb and leaned his head against Yan Zhika's as he looked at his senior sister's Weibo. When he was satisfied with the likes and exited, he suddenly found that Lu Cheng 129 had more than 20,000 followers, and it was still rising. The advertising effect is not bad. Yan Zhika turned her eyes and joked. Most of them are just here to watch the show. 99% of them are not my fans. Lu Cheng was very clear-headed and rational. The number of followers on his forum was still far from reaching 10,000. Although he said that, he was still a little excited. Cool, do you think I should post something on Weibo? What should I send? Just be yourself. Yan Zhika looked at him and said with a smile. That's right. I'm a martial artist. I don't have to rely on fans to make a living. Why should I spend so much effort to create a good image for myself? Just do what you want. Lu Cheng made up his mind and nodded solemnly. Listening to Coach Yan is better than studying for 10 years. Liar. You've listened to hundreds or thousands of words from me, but I don't see you as smart as someone who has studied for thousands or tens of thousands of years. Yan Zhika pretended to be serious and laughed softly. I'm actually speechless. Lu Cheng couldn't help but laugh. His fingers moved and reposted his senior sister's Weibo post with the following words, "Thank you, senior sister, for your recognition." Laughing and crying, I was really confused at that time. I suspected that Mu Yu was using some big move that didn't distinguish between friend and foe, so I didn't dare to act rashly. Later, I realized that it was the backlash of his supernatural ability, misfortune. Less than a few seconds after he clicked send, he immediately saw a red circle at the bottom of the post. He found that there was already a comment. When he entered, he saw that it was from an ID called Little Mouse in the Alley. There were only 2 words in the comment, like me. This is fighting for the front row. Lu Cheng refreshed the page and saw that there were a few more comments and reposts. Eternal Nightfall said, Tiger touch my Lu Cheng. Close-up photo. Brahman 001 inch said, Idol, look at me, waving. My hair is much longer, said, reporting. Unparalleled Dragon King, said with a smiling cat head, then what should I say? The Longhu Club Forum sightseeing group is here. Yenjika couldn't help but smile. She took the initiative to help refresh the page and saw that behind the familiar ID was a large number of unfamiliar followers. If she hadn't reminded Yen Shaoling in advance, the fans of the forum wouldn't have been able to stand in the front row. I don't want to hear, I'm just a fan of the acting Mu Yu. It's the backlash of supernatural ability, Bane, that's a cool name. When Lu Cheng and Yen Zhika were browsing the follow-up comments, a well-known user reposted his Weibo post. Mo Jingting, who had tens of millions of followers, said, My awesome junior master, in a classroom on the 4th floor of the No. 1 teaching building, Qiu Zhigao finished a homework by himself. He stretched himself and wanted to relax. He browsed the news of Mo Jingting's official fan club and was looking forward to the concert on Tuesday. While scrolling, he suddenly saw a fan saying, Quick. Little sister has posted a new Weibo post, everyone go and like it. What did Jingting post? Old Qiu clicked on the link and opened the Weibo. Her awesome junior master. Who is that? Qiu Zhigao looked down with interest and noticed that the username of the user that Mo Jingting had reposted was Lu Cheng 129. Ha, the same name as Cheng, Jingting's awesome junior master is also called Lu Cheng, what a coincidence. Qiu Zhigao clicked on Lu Cheng 129 and entered his homepage. He saw the introduction, Songqing University Martial Arts Club Leading General, Songqing University Martial Arts Club Leading General. What a coincidence, the same name as Cheng, wait. Qiu Zhigao's eyes froze on these few words. F*CK, could he be the Lu Cheng I know? He is Jingting's junior master. Lu Cheng and Yen Zhika also noticed Mo Jingting's repost, because the number of followers on his Weibo account had increased by more than 50,000 and was rapidly approaching 100,000. He could be called a VIP account now. I've received too much attention at my age. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry and made a self-deprecating remark. What does martial niece Mo mean? It's not necessarily a good thing for her to reveal her background and identity. Besides, it's annoying to have too much popularity and too much attention. Lu Cheng wasn't ready to become a real celebrity yet. He wanted to participate in competitions, earn money, and fight with strong opponents to reach the peak of martial arts. He wanted to be respected daily and not worry about being disturbed in his life. Others can't even ask for it. Yenjika said with a faint smile, this is also a sign of goodwill, right? But I don't like this kind of goodwill. Lu Cheng sighed. It's enough for her. Well, those who don't know about the internal affairs of the Ice God sect will think that she has a good relationship with you. As long as you can keep improving and becoming stronger, her Weibo post won't be in vain. Yenjika rolled her eyes and analyzed Mo Jingting's thoughts. Unless you post a Weibo post specifically against her. But I don't think you're capable of doing that, Cheng. At this moment, Lu Cheng's phone vibrated with a message. Martial niece Mo said in a weak voice, Junior Master, I reposted your post in a moment of excitement. Did it cause you any trouble? Well, as expected, she did it first and then apologized. Lu Cheng showed it to Coach Yen and pondered for a while before replying, it's a little troublesome. Don't do it again. Just don't do it again. Seeing the content, Yenjika couldn't help but laugh. She pursed her lips and teased, you're really like a junior master. You sound like an old man. Soon, Mo Jingting sent another message, Junior Master, you're so kind and broad-minded. I won't do it again. I promise. You've achieved your goal. Of course, you don't have to do it again. Lu Qing complained in his heart. He was about to put down his phone and concentrate on self-study. At this moment, Yenjika bit her lower lip and took the initiative to say, ask her when she's free before and after the concert. As the host, we still have to entertain her. It's troublesome to go out of school. If the time isn't suitable, we won't invite her. We'll just go to the concert. If it weren't for the fact that he was looking forward to a date, Lu Qing would have even skipped the rest of the matter. Hearing his answer, Yenjika's expression relaxed. She said with a smile, I just praised you for being a junior master. You're ignoring your martial niece just because of a little trouble. There are very few people who can make me not care about trouble, not including her. Lu Qing responded with a smile and took the opportunity to make another confession. TSK, your sweet-talking skill has leveled up again. Yenjika turned her head and laughed, her eyes shining. How can it be called sweet-talking from the heart? Lu Qing said shamelessly. He also sent a message to Mo Jingting, asking when she was free to entertain. Mo Jingting seemed to have been holding the phone all the time. She quickly replied, thank you, Junior Master. I know you can't come out during school hours. Besides, aren't you coming to the concert on Tuesday? I can't let you come again and again. How about this, I'll come to your school tomorrow afternoon. Just treat me to the cafeteria. It's a specialty of Songcheng. You can't find it anywhere else. Cafeteria? Lu Qing and Yenjika looked at each other. They didn't expect Mo Jingting to be so considerate. She's not going to play any tricks, is she? Lu Qing frowned and whispered. No, unless she really wants to force you to fall out with her. Yenjika pondered and said, she's probably showing her considerate side after achieving her goal. Lu Qing nodded slightly and typed on the keyboard, our cafeteria is not good. Be careful not to have a stomachache and affect the concert. He thought it was better to be decent and planned to book the Chinese restaurant in school. Junior Master, I'm a fighter of professional 9th pin. I'm in good health. How can I have a stomachache? Anyway, you make the decision. You make the decision. Mo Jingting didn't insist. Looking at her cute words, Yenjika's eyelids twitched. She felt uncomfortable and suddenly regretted being so generous and polite. She should have let Qing completely ignore her. Lu Qing replied coldly to Mo Jingting, okay, text me before you arrive. After sending, he put down the phone and sighed. He turned to Yenjika and smiled bitterly, I don't know why, but when I see her acting cute to me, I feel a little uncomfortable, even nauseous. Maybe this is forced acting cute and malicious acting cute. The reason was probably because Mo Jingting's image in his mind was a scheming girl who was not suitable for acting cute. Puff. Yenjika couldn't help but laugh. The previous haze was swept away. At this moment, Lu Qing received 2 messages from Qiu Zhigao and Qin Mo, Cheng, I'm kneeling to you. Accept my kneeling. Brother Cheng, my dear brother, take me to see Jingting. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.